video's on delay, right? Right, Anna?
So, sorry?
He's better off maximizing my vid picture as Zoom to be live and then boxing out the chat in Twitch, correct? Taking out the chat.
Yeah. I usually put up the chat in a separate window and then kill off the video window because that saves a lot of bandwidth because then Zoom gets the bandwidth instead of Twitch doing it. And then in the Twitch in the Zoom window you can either pin your the channels window with where USJ and pin that big, so to speak.
Pin
often
mine.
I use gallery view too, if shows like this, because that way I can see all the other participants better. But when you game, it's
okay. No, but I mean right here, I can see that I got the Twitch chat there in front of me.
Yeah, the delay appears to be about 4 to 6 seconds right now.
Yeah, that varies a bit.
But that's not a big deal. Just make sure that's muted.
Yeah. Yeah, don't run the Twitch sound. Because
no, you don't hear it, right?
No, you're good.
It's okay, yeah.
You're good. We don't have any reverb right now, which is always a good thing. And see, look, Rich made me miss my cue there. I forget which button I'm going to hit now. I'm going to hit this one. How's that sound?
That looks good. I don't know what it sounds like.
Oh, you know, I had to change the music. So. What's up, Troy? Can you hear us? Say yes. I can hear you. Awesome. That's always good to hear. Woo! Gary's like rushing his dinner down right now, I bet.
Yeah, yes, that's what we told him.
Eat fast.
But he did say if he wasn't here yet that he 100% saw the best race in the seas down there.
Okay, the best race anywhere, I guess.
Stefan, I owe you the book code still, and I'm going to blame Chuck, who hasn't given me any of the 4 codes for Gagsmore yet, just so you're aware. What's up, James? Hang as long as you can, man. You can always lurk away. What's up, the ever-mysterious Tim? Alright, so that's why, I'm efficient in getting that stuff out. I haven't gotten the codes yet, and I've been on. Chuck is so overwhelmed right now for GaryCon stuff. So I will get them out. I owe 4 of them, so please note that. I'll say that again tonight when everyone's here. Yep. Boom, boom. I'm going to hit this button. That worked. Oh, good, it worked. But I missed the cue again, but that's okay. So, cranking up the numbers already. Blue Box wasn't on before us. John is deep in prep.
Oh, he is.
For GaryCon, John's got 4 streams. I mean, John's second to me in stream number. Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, Daniel? Everyone is amazed I haven't run this. I haven't because it's an expert. It's like I ran basic stuff, like B1, B2. I never ran expert stuff ever. This in Castle Amber, never ran it.
So I ran it, and I don't know how long ago I ran it, but I had this.
It shows you how old we are.
I had this inside the actual module.
Is that counter tables?
I have no idea what this is.
That looks like one of Len's stuff.
No.
Have you used the same?
This, I think I texted it up myself.
Okay, yeah.
That's how old, that's when I ran this thing.
Yeah, this is what Doc made. It was printed from the 80s or something.
Yeah. So I opened it up right to
What's up, Mike? What's up, Jason? Daniel, Geek Puppet. Oh, he's pushing. Yes. It's gonna be a fun one tonight.
Troy's making fun
Plus,
of my pushing already.
special. You all saw the tweet, the little tweet I put out on Discord of the freebie that everyone's getting. That's everyone, even people like Tim. So, and look, I missed another cue there. There we go. So here's some really good news. Infinite Dimensions is early on the Kickstarter releases for this, the last Hearth Inn that you're going to see. I have all the STLs for it. And now that one on the left. Mike Saxton's going to probably blow that out before we do, but we're starting printing on this already, last Hearth. Yep, that monstrosity. So, yeah. Now that'll take us like a month to print that. So, yeah. With that, we have it now, and whoops, I just hit the wrong button. Oh, you can see it twice. See, I did. I meant to hit a shout-out button. There you go. I'm going to rerun it. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. There's my shout-out. So, I think it's available for sale. It's a big print job's an understatement. Yeah, I think Isle of Dread's written by Moldvay and Zeb Cook, right? Yeah.
Yep. David Cook.
David, his nickname's Zeb, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, David Zeb Cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't use Zeb back in those days. He just called himself David.
Oh.
Yeah.
The cool thing about Infinite Dimensions stuff is they made it so that it's playable on the inside as well as the outside, all their stuff. They took it all into consideration, which is pretty neat. So, I mean, we'll get... there's 3 separate buildings there. We'll get one of them up. That was it. He went by Zeb because there were too many Daves at TSR. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
We gotta start getting the Jasons to change their names.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's so many Jasons, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have the bridge yet, and we don't have the arena yet, but we don't have this next. So, but once that arena comes out, that's coming up next, we're going to be printing that immediately wherever we are and anything else, because I want to use that right in Greyhawk City. You know, I'm going to have some Greyhawk City adventuring off of that. Can't wait.
I love this 3D printing for stuff like this. This is fabulous for a hobby.
Yeah, well, you saw the gel stuff, right, Rich?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And that was all custom done. All the tilt wall is all done by Gamescape, and that's all. Gamescape 3D is a one-man company. Jeremy is awesome. He's got a Hobbit. He's got a really nice Hobbit hole. It's almost like a luxury mansion for a Hobbit in this month's Patreon. I know Mike Saxon, Retro Gamer, belongs to that too. That and probably Phantom does too. You probably saw it. It's really cool looking. And his Patreon's $3.50 a month. That's it. For the prints he puts out, it's amazing. But so I got 2 amazing 3D print companies. Well, that's why we don't use resin on that stuff. Those are PLA all the way, man. Those prints, they're PLA all the way. You don't want to resin print those. Definitely don't. So.
The problem is I get all lustful seeing all this stuff, and I literally can't have my players over to play the game. So there's no point in buying and printing these because nobody will see them except for me.
Sooner or later, though.
Stream the game.
Hey, most of my crew has at least gotten 1 shot. I mean, my second shot's on Monday. My wife's is tomorrow. So because we're all old. So.
Yeah, I'm getting mine in.
Hey, when you're old, that's what happens.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on Gary. 7:54. He's like, well, we started at 8. Oh, thanks for the host, Mike.
Because I'm trying to say the same thing. It's crazy. I don't even own a resin printer. I don't want to do this stuff. One of my players has it, so I'm kind of pestering him to print stuff for me.
That's how it should be. Some players take care of that side.
Yeah, I tell him, you want the XP? Give me some tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, with it, resin is great for small things and for like fencing and for miniatures because it's much better detail. But for the terrain, it's PLA, man. Tomorrow, everyone, I don't know what time you're going to start, Mike, but probably, what are you going to start? Yeah. Are you going to start 8 a.m. Eastern, or are you going to start at 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern? Okay, early. Well, I'll be around. I'm getting up pretty early. Mike Disney kicks off the Greyhawk, Gary Con Greyhawk channel, painting Holly's horror for me and Build a Master Crafter. So he's the first. He's the first show. He's the first stream out of 26 streams we got on the channel for 24 hours, straight 4 days. Yeah.
You got all these elves painting stuff for you, Jay, and they call me the slave driver.
Well, it's you know, everyone. It's all community here. Everyone helping everyone out.
So I got my mug. So I visited Alcatraz a few years ago, and I bought this mug.
You are required to work at whatever you were told to do. Nice.
Okay, wow.
So I also got this, and I got a little plaque up in my kitchen that basically says the same thing. And I put it up in my kitchen, and I point at it whenever my kids give me lip.
Everything about the Isle of Dread. If Gary shows up.
Yeah.
What's up, Patrick? Oh, Gary will show up.
The book is done.
Yes, I have it.
I saw it. You put it up.
I got it. It will be a great episode because I'm coming to this from a guy who has the module, the blue covered one, and that's it. And I read the Dungeon 114. That's it.
So Gary and I did a complete check of everything. We read all the dragons, all the dungeons that have to do with it, with the original module. I even read the Hidden Shrine promotion, just to be sure. I got all the bases covered.
Nice.
How does that tie into Isle of Dread?
It has the same race, right? So I wanted to check the gods.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, I imagine Blue Box John will be showing up a little bit. That's my guess. Oh, look at this! Just in the nick of time. Ah, look, we're still 3 minutes early. Boom, 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 boom. Green Lunar, you getting ready for the joust? You better be ready.
We has the right map up, that's awesome.
Rodney Ford, Green Lantern has... Oh, you have Lady Finayan of Cartris. Wow, 3rd seed. Smart move there, taking the 3rd seed. Alright, we're coming on. She's badass. Boom. Wagering. Don't get me in trouble with Twitch, Coma. I think that would be bad. Good evening, everyone. This is the first stream of the week and the last stream before GaryCon 13 officially kicks off. So, good evening. I'm J.K. Lorcazumba. With me normally on our Legends and Lore shows. Hopefully, Mike will talk more this week than last week. Right,
Yeah.
Mike? Last week was just like ladies at Greyhawk, women living Greyhawk. I'm just going to sit back and chill out, right?
Exactly.
That was pretty good. And Anna Meyer, my partner in crime. And Anna's got a lot going on coming up this weekend,
yeah.
too. So, and then our 2 special guests tonight. Rich, it's Deolia. Longitalis, you probably know them all by on Discord, on Cannon Fire, and Rich has been on once before. Welcome back for this discussion. Thank you so very much for coming on. And also the ever mysterious, like Tim one, Gary Holian is on to discuss. And this was his idea for this this one a couple months ago, the Isle of Dread. Everything you wanted to know about the Isle of Dread. I even got a post, and I believe if any of you saw it, I think it was Sages of Greyhawk. Someone put, "Why are you doing a show on this? Isn't this in Mystara?" And then I said, Greyhawk claimed it a long time ago. So Gary, Rich, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
What? Let's start at the beginning. Start at the very, very beginning. Here's my. I think I got another copy buried somewhere, but here's my copy. This is not a big module, just like they all weren't back then, right? Not a large module, but it's got a lot of content in it. When did this whole idea start for you, Gary or Rich, and how this all come about? You know, with the Isle of Dread.
Gary, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, it actually has an interesting backstory. Apparently, because it was written for Beckme, it had to go into another world. It couldn't go into Greyhawk. So they were originally intending to make it available for Greyhawk.
It had to go for where, you said? I'm sorry?
So the original campaign setting of the Beckme rule set was called the Known World. So it was briefly called the Known World. Eventually they called it Mystara. And Mystara, expanded upon the small piece of continent that we got from the Known World. So if you put up the slide with the
just tell me
with the hexes in the Known World.
Yeah. Okay.
The ocean.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that without crashing everything. I can. You got to remember, I can't change my slide editor because I got the new one. It's because Flash is dead, so the Flash one no longer works. But I can do this. Yep. This is the one we're talking about.
That's right. So right in the center, the bottom center of that continent is the location of almost all the B series modules.
Okay.
And what is called Karamikos. It's the sort of the main portion of the continent where you usually begin your campaigns in basic and expert.
We used to call that playing the Karamikos.
Yes, Karamikos.
So this map is a Karamikos or Mystara map, or both?
Well, Karamikos is the center of the lower portion of that continent. So if you look really close, I think it's a duchy, if I'm
That's right, it's a duchy.
Not mistaken.
Okay.
So it's a smaller portion of a larger empire, I think, called Thyatis.
Yep.
Okay.
And so, the Keep on the Borderlands was on one side of it, and the other B series modules were all over it. And its capital was called Specularum, and the idea was that PCs would work their way through the B series, get themselves up to 4th level, and boom, they needed a new adventure. And so if you were one of the people like me who ran out and bought the expert rule set, you got the Isle of Dread as an extra adventure tucked into the box. And there's Mike holding them up.
Okay. Interesting. So was that ever available for sale separate? I thought it was. When it became orange covered, it was available
there's definitely a separate version.
Okay. Oh my gosh, Mike.
But because it was included, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people ended up playing it because it was, a freebie.
Right.
And what that did was introduce the players to the concept of an outdoor wilderness survival adventure. So you had to board a ship, you'd had to travel hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from their home and go to this place that was something like a lost world. It had monsters that were anachronistic. It had monsters that were invented just for that setting. It had, some things that we readily recognize from jungle settings. And, if anything, I've never seen a module that was so driven by its wandering encounter tables, because that's what really gave the character to your adventure. If you rolled badly, you suddenly had a T-Rex bearing down on you from the jungle.
So, and was it level based, those encounter tables, or not? Or just was all over the place?
No, I think it was kind of all over the place, but you were meant to be in that expert range.
Okay.
Fourth and above, and obviously fourth probably wasn't going to be very good for you. But the island was very tiered. It had easier encounters and it had more difficult encounters, so you could work your way up. And what was really neat is it kind of created a little mini setting because it had these tribes, it had some lore about the Isle, and it had this enemy race that was behind a lot of what you saw on the Isle. So I don't know about you guys. Maybe has anyone here not played Isle of Dread?
I
Okay.
haven't played it, so yep.
I've never played it.
So I'm just curious about this race.
Races.
Or races. Okay, that's even more interesting.
And it's interesting, some of these races on the Isle of Dread didn't even make it into D&D, the advanced, and then later 3rd edition D&D until much later editions. For some reason, they were never scarfed up by...
Yeah.
And that could have been a licensing issue. I'm not sure what the contract situation there was, but it did look like, things like the Phanatons and the Kopru and stuff didn't really make it into the next versions until way down the road.
Huh.
And part of that is through no small effort of Eric Mona and the 3rd edition guys.
So they said, well, there's content here we need to get out, basically, and that's how that happened. Well, that's
right.
Okay.
I mean, what was kind of fantastic about this module is it gave you this outline of the island with a bunch of empty hexes, and you were supposed to go in there, explore it, and fill it in piece by piece.
Thanks, bro.
And see how long you could survive.
See how long you could survive. All right. So, what level was expert in basic? Is it 4th through 6th?
It was more than 6th. It was 4th through. Is it 10th or something? I think it was up to the double digits.
Okay.
It wasn't linear. Like 1 through 3 was basic, but then it started to jump in bigger chunks.
Okay. And
someone out there.
We're talking about 81 now. We're talking about 80, 81. This is really roughly the time frame for this. So, does anyone, Rich or any of the panel, understand why they are going AD&D and Basic at the same time still?
I think they were meant for different audiences, like the ones that just wanted a very casual role-playing game experience, and the other ones were for more people like us who wanted the whole thing and dig deep into it. I think that was the idea with the two, like the beginner set with the light.
They couldn't very well have an advanced set without a regular set. Right?
Yeah, that's true too. So
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they end up dropping the whole.
It was confusing when you're 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I almost sound like a smart guy, but yeah, I was like, why is...
I read an interesting little tidbit, and I don't know if it's a rumor or true, but AD&D was supposed to get away from Arneson's share.
So it's like second edition, get rid of Gary Gygax's name on the books, kind of thing.
That's what I think happened.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
That's very possible. There's all that, yeah. So Gary just linked that handout. Everyone, you're free to download that, and that's what you're showing up right now. Greyhawk's Guide to the Isle of Dread. So you can read along there. It's a compilation of a lot of different things. Anna's map is up in its entirety of the whole area.
I didn't reach that far south, so
right. So now we have some background. Let's jump forward, Gary, to your involvement, and if this is pre-Dungeon 114 or post-Dungeon 114 or whatever, when is this? Did Eric come to you? Like, how did this come about? Go, we're purloining this. We're putting this into the Greyhawk setting. What happened?
Yeah, I'd pretty much always had it in my Greyhawk from the mid 80s on, and actually used an island, the location of an island that was in the 1983 glossography. It didn't have the perfect shape, but it was roughly the same length. So it was a little closer to the Flannis, near what we call the Pirate Isles right now. So, I discussed that with Eric and said, oh, it's generic, it'll fit anywhere, it's not. But, we never really had any plans to expand the map down south and do any of that during the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer production phase. But then we had a contributor to Dungeon propose doing a module set on the Isle of Dread. And that's Greg Vaughn, who did a lot of work for Dungeon in those years.
Okay.
And especially in Greyhawk. And he decided to kind of remix the central encounter of the module on this plateau, where there's a taboo temple and the Kopru sort of have set up a trap for PCs there. And so Eric said to himself, okay, this is great, but it doesn't really have any context. I need to, find a way to get PCs here. It's been 20 something years since that module came out. They've never revisited it in the meantime in second edition or early third. So he reached out to me and said, could we write a backdrop that would place the Isle of Dread officially in Greyhawk? Because in third edition, Greyhawk was the default setting.
Okay.
The gods were in the core rules, and a lot of the Dragon and Dungeon articles were purposely set in Greyhawk in order to facilitate that synergy between the setting and the rules. So I said, okay, let me take this module, which I hadn't read at that point, like in 10 years, read it, absorb it, and see if I can find a Greyhawk based reason for this place to exist. And so that is what you see in Dungeon 114.
Okay.
The backdrop. And it is probably, way more words than Mulvey and Cook ever gave to the setting in their module. But I think it gives explanations, reasonable explanations for a lot of the things that you see in that module. Like, what is this mysterious native race? Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just waving to Carlos.
I thought you were signaling me. Yeah, so the idea would be that the Isle of Dread would now exist in the Densec Gulf south of the Flannis, just below where we knew the map cut off, so that there could really be no conflict with any existing canon. And so if you flip up the map that Mike made.
Sure. I can always flip it up. If we crash, sit tight, everyone. I'm just kidding. Don't worry. It shouldn't crash. Shouldn't. All right. So this is Mike. When did you make this?
Well, that's a good question.
20 years ago?
No. The adventure came out more recent than that.
Okay.
Surely it wasn't 20 years ago.
Okay.
20 years ago.
It's a great one, though. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Let's see.
Mike's looking through his blog for
2011-ish.
Okay, so 9 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Okay. So, yep.
So Mike's map takes everything we know from the glossography map that expands to the south. He also incorporates information from Sean Reynolds' Scarlet Brotherhood accessory. And he also places the Isle of Dread right where it should be, on the south western side of the Bohun Ocean.
The very lower left-hand corner of this map.
Yeah. Now, with just a glance, you could see that this place is huge. I mean, It is as big as, it's as big as like half the Sea Princes or half the Pomarge. So it's a sizable realm. And it's part of an archipelago, and there's probably, even more islands than you see there. But it is also thousands of miles away from the city of Greyhawk.
It's far. So, but I note that Isle of the Ape is not on this map.
No, because that's a Holianism.
Okay.
So in the process of writing that Dungeon 114 backdrop, which, by the way, was only 2 months before we voted on the top 30 modules of all time. So around this exact same time,
right,
we got us, Eric solicited us to write up our top 10 modules, and you'd submit your module order in, listed in order, and you'd write a paragraph about each one. And that became the top 30 list of all time once he aggregated all the reviewers. And Isle of Dread was on mine, and it was,
So you were a reviewer, huh?
I was one of the reviewers. I think
Cool.
you can see, I think they excerpted comments from me on like 2 or 3 of the entries.
I didn't remember that.
And I think the Isle of Dread was one of them.
Yeah, I think Isle of Dread was like 11th. Please.
Oh, actually, no, it was 16th.
16th.
So that must have been weighted very low by some of the reviewers, but
please note, Return of the Temple of Elemental Evil is ranked 6th of all time. So these people are all smoking something. Okay.
Something about marketing, I think, of that choice.
What's that?
Puppets was number 2.
Yeah.
It is a number 2. Just not.
I'm kidding. You know me with the Vampire Thrommel deal. There you go. I got it in. I'm being proactive. That way I stop all the other BS. So yeah, but hey, it sounds like a great adventure, and it's very, very memorable to everyone.
It's a classic. There's nothing like it in the module canon.
Right.
This is a module which is like Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World combined with King Kong's Skull Island. It is the place to find nasties and beasties and dinosaurs. So, for those of you who don't like dinosaurs in your campaign, and I can understand why, they don't have to exist anywhere in the Flannis, but they can definitely exist somewhere on the tropical island of the Isle of Dread.
So you wrote the article, right? And that's where, and it's like, what is it, 10 pages roughly, which is a fair amount for a dungeon magazine.
It is, and it's mostly text, so it's pretty dense.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
I've reread it a couple of times in the last few weeks, and I'm like, wow, I couldn't believe I wrote that. But there's some nuggets in there. So one of the nuggets in there is a suggestion that there used to be an extra island in the archipelago that had a great ape on it, and that Zagig came in and sucked it into a demiplane, and that has become the Isle of the Ape.
So this is from September 2004. I want to share this with everyone, okay? Gary, just, you can just sit there for this. The very last paragraph. Gary Holian is a scientist by training whose freelance projects have included co-authoring the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer and numerous Greyhawk-oriented magazine articles in Polyhedron Magazine and Dungeon. He also helps maintain a World of Greyhawk fan site, Cannon Fire, where you can find more lore posted by him and dozens of other ardent Greyhawk fans. There you go. It's right there in there. The Isle of, it also says, the very last line, the Isle of Dread will return, and that is tonight.
Well, it actually returned way before that, but I always like those taglines at the end of James Bond movies, where you go through the entire credits, and then by the end it would say James Bond will return in blah 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 blah. So right. I thought, well, a lot of those post article author notes, you really at those days you should write yourself, because if you don't write it yourself, they will. They may not say everything accurate or may not include everything you want to include. So a good trick was always you write it yourself and then just challenge them to edit it if it's too long. So I ended up writing that one myself, and I don't think they touched it very much.
Very cool.
But yeah, so unlike say the known world of Mystara, Greyhawk already had a perfect race and a perfect setting in which to make the Isle of Dread work. So most of that article, I would say, takes the legends and lore of the Old Man, which obviously are thinly veiled Mesoamerican tropes, and puts them into the Isle of Dread and makes it cohesive. We take the Diary of Rory Barbarossa and use that as another MacGuffin in order to present some of the lore.
Is that Fifth Voyage? Is that what this is? No, that's Fifth.
No, that's something else.
Okay,
But
I'll remove that for now.
this was a convention that they used in the original module to kind of present the legend
Okay.
and get the players interested in going there because it was so, enticing.
So
I'm guessing that 114 must have been popular because 3 years later, James Jacobs, or not even, no, 2 years later, James
Savage
Jacobs
Tide.
decides to take, the Legend of the Isle, Demogorgon, and Death Knights and smash them together into a new adventure path called Savage Tide.
Man, that's like a bunch of your favorite things.
Yeah,
I know.
was
It
about to
was
say,
like an
have you
homage to my greatest hits.
Yeah.
It is it is a really cool thing then to think about that. I like that from the discussions we've had with Jason Bowman, James Jacobs, and Eric Mona, they thought about what was going on in the past, and they wanted to make sure that they were doing it right. That's what I get.
The classic example of that is their redo of Mar Castle. That is a love letter to Gygax and the original campaign. It was done so well. The art, everything about it was really top notch.
And we will have one of those down the road too. So we will have a Legends of Lore Mar Castle down the road. No doubt about it. Absolutely. Yes. And maybe I can convince Eric to come back for that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Eric,
yeah, we should definitely do a
yeah.
Legends of Lore or Gabbing with Eric talking about the stuff he actually wrote.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, Rich, handoff, Savage Tide era.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
Well, the Savage Tide was a blast. I actually ran that with for a few of my friends, and I ran it in 3E, which at the higher levels gets a little bit heavy. But when you got to the Isle of Dread, it was the perfect zone to run a 3rd edition D&D, and they were pretty accurate with what the original module had. Although they removed the Trents, there was no Trents in the Savage Tide.
Close the door.
But other than that, they tried to cover every single area that was in the original X1, and they expanded on it. So it was if you're going to run an adventure path, that's one of the ones to run. It was very good.
Very, very cool. What we like? I am not. It's like 12 adventures, correct? 12.
Yeah, but it's 4 on the Isle of Dread, so you could really start right there.
Starts in Sasserine.
Yeah,
And it's the voyage there. Yep.
Starts in Sasserine. So this is where Sasserine becomes a place, is Savage Tide. Or was it on Cauldron's map from the one before that?
I don't think so. I think James Jacobs created it out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he created it in a place where it was very plausible and would not affect the canon of other elements of the campaign.
Okay.
So if Sargent can put new cities in the middle of the Great Kingdom or Duchy of Ernst, why couldn't James Jacobs put one in the corner of the Flask where it's not
Well, that's a great point. And so, just to go back in time, the what was the Cauldron series called again?
Shackled City.
Shackled City was not on the map. And then when they put Sasserine where it was, then they go, or Anna, did you place Cauldron? Who placed Cauldron?
I placed Cauldron. Cauldron was placed in the Savage Tide on the regional map. Cauldron was placed, so I just adjusted that slightly to kind of massage it into the greater area, so to speak.
Okay.
Because they had but
I think in that era of 2000 to 2004, the imperative was on, put things in Greyhawk. They belong, anything you could put in Greyhawk, put it in Greyhawk.
Yeah.
And Cauldron is not a great fit. It's a little wacky, but again, it's so far out of the norm of the major realms of the Flannis that it's not going to really affect your campaign.
Okay, so just wanted to note that Cauldron never was officially placed. Anna kind of officially placed it, but Sasserine.
They had a map in that placed it. So they had a regional map that, if I remember correctly, that had Cauldron placed in relation to Sasserine.
It did, but wait, Sasserine then existed during the Shackled City, not during. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm not sure when that came out.
Okay, it came down.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I'm trying to
It
figure
might
out.
have been, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it might be
I-
one of these ad hoc solutions afterwards.
I'm just
I
trying.
have the
Okay.
I have the feeling that the start of Shackle City was nowhere, and then by the last few episodes they put it in Greyhawk.
So what happened was they put in Greyhawk in the dungeon magazines as it went, going, this could be a fit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. That's what I was trying to figure out was because we're all interested to know how this happened because we have your article, we have all that, and now we have we have these adventure paths that are very, very popular, and look at how popular they are to this day now, right? So
yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to review a lot of the Paizo created ones post dungeon.
Okay.
But if you go back and look at what they did with that third adventure path, it is probably the best supported series of adventures that has ever been done. You have not only these 12 adventures, you have like a half dozen extra articles that support those adventures in Dragon and Dungeon. You've got these online handouts that were given out to help players learn the setting. I mean, it's as richly supported as some massive box set if you put it all together.
Right. Okay. I tried getting that Cauldron book, and that book's like $200. That book is rare, and
Wow.
that book is I tried getting it. Savage Tide's a little bit easier to get, but that Cauldron book is very difficult to get. Yes,
Yeah.
Anna.
Cauldron is on the map as well as Caesarine in the. I think it's one of the Dragon articles about the Savage Tide campaign.
Okay, so it was placed after Shackled City, is what?
Yeah.
Okay.
So both the Caesarine and Cauldron are placed.
Okay.
That's the one I used as the base for my map. So
All right. Sounds
I
good.
found it here.
I was just that was my curiosity. So so Rich, what's notable from Savage Tide where it comes to Isle of Dread?
You mean different from the original?
Well, what happens? That's basically what I'm asking because I don't know anything.
Okay, so in the original, you just go there, and the Kopru are the bad guys, and you clear up the temple, and you just fight it. It's like Gary said, it's more of a wilderness adventure, kill dinosaurs, and a few other things. In Savage Tide, they really played up the whole Demogorgon aspect with the Shadow Pearls.
Right. Okay.
So the premise is Demogorgon has his cultists building these nuclear bombs, and he wants to convert the whole world into an Isle of Dread by dropping.
So if you go back to the 114 article, one of the explanations I gave for why the Isle of Dread exists is this so-called Shadow Pearl. It's basically a fiendishly created pearl that, when activated, basically releases like a savage wave upon a land and creates, these portals that allow for dinosaurs and other creatures that don't exist anymore to come through, and it converts the local fauna and flora into like a savage setting, including people apparently. So I think James took that idea and said, okay, that's an explanation for why the Isle of Dread was created centuries ago. What if some bastard said, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it up north where there's thousands of people that I hate? And so you basically got Savage Tide implementing the old pact that Demogorgon had with St. Kargoth. He said, if you bring down the Great Kingdom in this following way, I will make you a Death Knight, and you will be the greatest of them. So basically, the villain of Savage Tide, while Demogorgon is the ultimate villain, is actually this guy named Vanthus Vanderborn, who he wants the same deal. He says, I'll do whatever it takes to become a Death Knight, and I will unleash this Savage Tide on Sassarine, on Monmurd, on Gradsel, on the entire north if I have to in order to get it. And of course, Demogorgon's like, yep, do it. Here's
and
the tool.
Vanthus is from Sassarine.
And he's from Sassarine. He's like a noble, roguish guy who has hooked up with the Crimson Fleet of pirates and becomes the main enemy for most of the series.
And is the actual brother of the patron who hires the players.
Right.
Characters.
Oh, so there's a brother, good guy, bad guy, or neutral guy, bad guy. Okay. Okay.
She's actually a good guy. She's actually a good guy.
She's a good guy. Okay. All right. Cool. Rate Savage Tide for me, Rich, from 1 to 10.
So I don't like the ending. I found the ending was a little bit over the top.
That's what I hear.
But the middle four, I mean, Gary and I were talking about this week. There's one in particular, one adventure, it was one they go below the surface. I think it was 144.
The Lightless Depths.
Yeah, the Lightless Depths. I think it was 144. Yeah. The 144 is probably the best one of the whole series. So if you want to do one, that's the one you want to run. So I would give that one a good.
Which one again? I'm sorry. I was
144, the Lightless Depth. Yeah. So that one's probably the best one in the whole series.
Okay.
So that one's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good stuff about it. So at one point you have to reinforce the town of Far Shore. So there's a whole rule system on how to make a town and a village more defensible. And there's a
That's
point
the
system
one I
for
wrote.
that.
Yeah, that's the one I co-wrote with.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
cool.
you did. So Gary, you wrote for Savage Tide?
Yeah, so I, as usual,
That's
these
news to me.
adventure paths,
Fluff.
they were divvied up. They would say, what's our stable of reliable authors? Because you can't give this to someone like a new freelancer and then hope for the best, right? You wanted someone who's already been there, already done work for them. So you'd have people like Greg Vaughn and Eric Boyd and stuff like that writing these episodes, because you could plot it ahead of time, give it to them as an assignment, and know that it was going to come in. And I think for the most part, I don't think they assigned more than one to a person, but we got sort of the middle one, the one that really introduced the Isle, the natives and that sort of thing. And the big storyline there was that we had this colony that we created. I named it Far Shore because it's it's far away from Sasserine, and the idea was that you would have to get there in time to help them defend themselves against this Crimson Fleet that's coming in to attack. And it's kind of a neat Seven Samurai situation for PCs to get into, because they're way better than all these villagers and all these colonists, but they still need to rally the resources, because it doesn't help if the colonists get wiped out and oh yeah, it was the PCs left.
Where is Far Shore? It's not on the Isle of Dread. It is north of it, correct? It's in that.
South.
It is.
It's south of it. Oh my gosh!
But it's hugging. The Isle of Dread has a bunch of little satellite islands around it.
Okay.
And this one is on one of the tiny ones that, importantly, doesn't have a native village already on it. So the Vanderborens kind of took this abandoned isle, founded Far Shore there in order to trade with the natives.
Yeah, there's some sort of taboo to that island of some sort.
So, is this the most remote place that you think that someone, like, I don't care about the Skip Williams map thing. I'm talking about in our Greyhawk campaign. This is the remotest area it goes to, the campaign, Far Shore. Yes?
Yes, although technically the southern verges of Hitmonaland are further south.
Yeah.
But that's land, so it's different. It's not the same. You're not as untethered. So
if you want to walk there, that's probably the furthest you will ever go.
For
so
sure.
to speak.
For sure. So this kind of defines the outermost realm of the consciousness of the people of the Flannis. They know that way down south near the equator there's this Isle of Dread, but they don't know anything beyond that. That is the ultimate.
And I would say that it's as far away as the western part of the Baklunish, that is kind of away from what we normally think of as the world of Greyhawk, so to speak. It's that far away. It's outside of the normal scope of the campaign.
Exactly.
All right, so on one of those little tiny isles at the south, it's on one of those, and it's marked. So if someone wanted to find it, they'd be able to somewhere on a map somewhere, correct?
Yeah. What was really neat about that era is that they produced multiple maps. So you've got maps of the Isle of Dread with nothing filled in the middle that you could hand out to PCs. You have maps where you can see all the geographic features, but none of the secret stuff is filled out on it. And then you have a map with all these locations on it, and a lot of those come directly from the map that was in 114. So
now I need to wave a little bit here
Okay.
because that map that was just on the screen that just disappeared was very interesting because that showed the Isle of Dread and the Isle of Ape as a lost continent or subcontinent or
Mhm.
huge island. That is very interesting.
Now,
So if you pause that one there,
Yeah, pause
Well-
that one there so I can.
well,
take
it's
a
not paused. I
screenshot
just
of
popped
that
it
one.
up. It's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Yeah.
so this map was created by our very own community guy, Cannibal.
Troy.
Hey,
So he-
awesome.
Right.
Thank you, Troy. This is very, very
Troy, who
interesting. I love
also
maps
has
like
both
this.
giveaways tonight, courtesy of Troy, too.
Yeah,
everyone,
I
so.
love maps like this. It's so interesting. Yep.
Troy was in the Navy. He spent a lot of time on submarines. So he knows a lot about the oceans.
Yep.
And one of his pet projects to do was to say, oh, we have maps of the surface.
Mhm.
And, Anna's only one person. we
Yeah,
can't,
but
we can't clone her yet.
No, but I want to clone myself to do that because that's one of my pet projects too, because I think it looks so cool. Even if I never use them, they look so cool. I want them. Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea was let's start doing these sort of bathymetric maps of the
Yep.
ocean floor, because just looking at it, you start to get ideas. So
Mhm.
a couple of weeks back, when I mentioned the project, Cannibal started working on it, and then he came back at me with this whole Densec Gulf map. And I said, oh my God, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this. And so that lighter green color that you see on the map is the uppermost shelf of the ocean. So this is like 100 feet to 200 feet to 300 feet max. And so islands, the coast, they tend to sit in this habitable zone where you might find things like sea elves and merfolk and that sort of thing. But islands, of course, pop up like, they're like the tops of mountains that are coming up from the bottom of the ocean. So the idea was that in the past, this archipelago included an island that was the Isle of the Ape. And the Isle of the Ape is very interesting in the sense that when I compared it to what I found for the movie on King Kong, it's almost the exact same size as Skull Island as well. So Skull Island, at least that's how they depict it in the King Kong movies, the most recent versions. It's about the same size. So Unga and King Kong, they're about the same size. And it just shows you just how much bigger the Isle of Dread is, though. It's like 3 times as big as Skull Island.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about the size of Cuba, right, Gary, when we looked at it?
Yeah, Hispaniola, Cuba,
Yeah.
that's around the right size. So
Wow. Very cool. So, Gary, I did not know this. You created Farshore, correct? Yourself.
right.
Okay.
I
And
named it.
who co-wrote? Did you write that one yourself, or co-write that with someone?
No, we co-wrote that one
And that was with who?
with oh my God,
It's okay.
my co-writer from Spine Castle.
We're all getting old. It's all right, man.
I
Vaughn,
Do you want me to look up in the dragon, Gary?
know. Yeah, could you?
Greg Vaughn.
Steve Greer, Greg Vaughn.
No,
okay,
Steve Greer.
Steve Greer.
Ken Allwall nailed it. Steve Greer. There you go. Cool.
That's right.
Thank
Steve
you,
Greer, who's done a lot of work for Paizo, by the way, which you should check out. It's really good stuff.
Okay.
He loved adventures, so he tended to handle the encounter side of things, and I tended to handle the background and the NPCs and that sort of thing. So it was a good collaboration, and we basically came up with this entire village of people. And
Okay.
it becomes sort of the moment where the PCs pivot from helping the Vanderborn family about their internal strife, and suddenly they're like, oh no, now that we've saved Farshore, we realize there's actually a bigger threat, and that's on the main island itself.
So you go to Farshore before you go to the main island in the
Yeah.
path.
Well, actually, because of a shipwreck, they actually shove you along the side of the main island and then get you to Farshore and then throw you back into the island again.
So the shipwreck puts you there, and then that's when the dinosaurs and hydras and all sorts of things. Correct? Is that
Right.
Okay.
There's
all right?
So you basically land on the north side, and you got to work your way all the way down the far shore along the east coast without getting killed.
Without getting killed, and then you have to. How do the natives help you cross to get to Farshore?
No,
How do you get across the water?
there's that big wall, right, Oh, you mean the island? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get through the big gate, and then you got to make friends, and then you just take a little canoe to the little Temute
Okay,
Island.
so it's all right. So they do help you, or
Yeah, yeah. Or you buy
you
a
take
canoe
boats.
or whatever.
Okay, okay. All right. I was just curious how that. Um, and where does Savage Tide end? Does it end on the Isle of Dread, or does it
Oh,
end?
no, 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 no.
Oh my gosh.
So it's in the.
It ends in the abyss.
All right. So this
So
is the
here's
middle. This is the middle part.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So here's where I think we diverged the most. I think in our
Okay.
vision. James, of course, he wrote all those great articles about demon lords and their fiendish tastes in the abyss. So he was going to put the abyss in there no matter what as the culmination of this adventure. So basically, instead of having the isle or the land beneath the isle or something in the ocean become the culmination of the adventure, he said, okay, let me take the PCs, put them back on the ship, and they're going to go back to this place called Scuttle Cove, which is where this Crimson Fleet emerged. So the Crimson Fleet is like, the Sea Prince pirates, but like on steroids. They're just
With some abyssal traits.
yeah, they've sold their souls to Demogorgon.
And Scuttle Cove, James uses for periphery house horror as well.
That's right.
So he likes that place.
Yeah, so once the PC get to the Scuttle Cove
Nice.
location, then they start to realize that, Demogorgon is the real villain and we need to switch focus, and the Isle of Dread doesn't then return into the picture.
Okay.
And that's, I guess, the last 4 or 5 segments of the Savage
So,
Tide.
When we played it with my guys, what happened was the Sea Wyvern is the ship, right? So you get a crew at a certain point, a bunch of regular sailors, and you get this helm on the ship that allows you to teleport to the abyss back and forth. So your sailors are sailing to the abyss on a regular basis. So what happened was we gave a backstory to all these sailors saying these guys, when they come back to the Flyness, they're scary people. I mean, they've been to the abyss and back. They got this haunted, crazy look on their face, right? No other ship wants to mess with this Sea Wyvern because it has a taint of the abyss on it. Whenever they pour it in, they pour a little bit of the abyss with them, and they kill all the fish in the area. So it gets a little bit weird on the back end of the story.
I gotta ask this: is this Mega 3.5 era where everyone ends up 20th at the end?
Yes. Well, the conceit of these adventure paths was they were meant to take you from 1st to 20th.
Okay.
And in a campaign that an old schooler would run in 1st edition, you'd expect that to take 20 years. That's not going to happen, in anytime soon. So it just it shows you the stat economy of 3rd edition, that you can go in one calendar year from 1st to 20th edition, and you're suddenly fighting Demogorgon on his home plane.
Well,
one of the funniest fights, or the most difficult fights, is at one point you fight a fiendish ancient red dragon with a ring of wishes. So it took us 18 hours to finish that fight because
oh my God.
They failed 3 times. So they won the first time. It took 6 hours to fight it. They failed. They teleported away. They came back a second time, failed again, then came back a third time. It took us 3 sessions to finish it off. By the 3rd time, my player showed up with 8 pages of buffs and strategy that he worked his way through to win the fight. That was 3rd edition.
So, Rich, what was the time frame? Was it a year for finishing it?
I stretched it, right? I didn't like it so fast. So what I did was, are you talking game time or are you talking real life time?
Real life.
Oh my God! It took us a couple of years because
okay. I can see 2-3 years.
Yeah, because you played twice a month, and each one of these adventures, you're looking at maybe 9-10 encounters per adventure. So 9-10 encounters times 12 modules took it over 100 encounters. So depending on your gameplay and your role playing and how long it takes to get through an encounter, figure 100-something encounters to get through the whole thing.
So Savage Tide was one of the few Greyhawk adventures that I was a player in. I decided to allow one of my friends to run Savage Tide because he wanted to DM some. And I think I know we got past Gary's module. I don't know if we got to the 3rd act or not, but I know we didn't finish it. And then, me being a collector, I still got the magazines with, okay, we're not going to finish this. I'll read ahead. But yeah, it was a grind.
What's this?
Yeah. So even at the time, I thought, this is not how I would have done it, and I started taking notes on, where I would, change things and where I would pivot.
Well, there's a reason why
Yeah.
Paizo shortened their APs after that.
Yeah, there's got to be a little bit of a breather there, because that was epic. So one thing I put in the handout was a beginning of an outline for what I would say would be my version of Savage Tide if I had run it. And it would be more something that began in mid-levels and ended in mid-high levels. It would be like 6th or 7th to 14th. And it would stay pretty much firmly on Earth. And somewhere in the vicinity of the Isle of Dread. So if people are interested in that, we'll definitely continue providing more details about how that would be different. But the handout gives sort of an outline of where that direction was going, and you could actually read the beats of how the tide itself played out in the actual series.
Everyone, you're free to download it. It's right there for the taking, courtesy of Gary. Gary, who helped you with this?
So I should now make some comments about the fact that we have a guy in the community named Ordinier. He's from Belgium. He has a YouTube channel called The Grey League, which you should all check out. It's his very well produced histories of various races in the Flannis, and he's done a couple of gazetteer ones now, one on Greyhawk and one on Keelland. So he's really experimenting on what you can do with video and photography in order to tell a story about what Greyhawk is all about. And when he found out what I was doing, he said, how are you doing it? What kind of stuff are you coming up with? And I said, well, I don't really know anything about design, and I was doing it in Google Docs, and I'm, muddling my way, trying to make it look a little decent. And he said, well, let me help you with that. And so we basically came up with a cover. He did that work on that cover. And he is now taking this text that you see in the handout tonight, and he's turning it into a really polished product. Okay. So as I finish it, he's gonna basically take that material and polish it up and turn it. So this handout is just a draft. It's just the version 1. Hopefully a few weeks hence we're gonna put out the second one, and that's gonna be really polished. And I gave a copy to Jay earlier tonight, sort of a sample of what direction it was going. But if you're familiar with the work that Paizo did in the Dungeon era and what the Orth Journal looks like right now under Christoph, it's going to be that kind of polished work.
Very, very cool. So my question is, were they shooting for the stars and grandiosity on this, and that's what they were instructed to do, Paizo, or was it of their own making, saying we're going to show WotC what we can do?
Yeah, I think it was more the latter. I don't think WotC was involved in any way in the plotting or the detail of this. I mean, there's certain characters that they have to stay away from. They're basically told, don't use these core characters. You're not going to find Mordenkainen in an adventure path, that sort of thing. But because they were so far off the center of the map, they could get away with almost anything.
Okay.
And yeah, that ending is really epic. I mean, when you have Demogorgon there, you're bringing St. Kargoth and all these monsters that Demogorgon has cultivated in his abyssal layers. I mean, it's just
Your allies are Igwilv and Orcus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Says a lot.
Yeah, it gets heavy.
Well, they did do Age of Worms, which had some over-the-top stuff.
And that's after
so
this.
they kind of had to top that.
Yeah.
I thought Age of Worms was
another one.
Wait, is Age of Worms before or after this?
Before.
Age of
Before,
Worms.
it's the middle one.
Okay, so all right.
Shackled City.
Okay.
Age of Worms, and then Savage Tide.
Yeah.
So Morpheus says, why wouldn't we make Mordenkainen an adventure path? Someone want to answer that?
Well, the idea is that while Paizo had a license to do these Dungeon and Dragon magazines, they were supposed to stay away from certain big elements of Greyhawk. They weren't. Now, while it's ironic because the same people were then hired to do the Castle Greyhawk adventure at the end of that era, they weren't allowed to do that within the actual pages of Dragon and Dungeon. It's only under the auspices of WotC that they were able to do it.
Okay.
So that's why you'd find that a lot of the adventures tended to touch on new places, new eras. That's why, you know, it was easy to do Spine Castle, because you weren't going to conflict with a single word of canon in the past.
Okay. All right, makes that.
Yeah.
This is stuff that like I never even thought about. That I'm like, wow. I mean, just there's a thought process behind what the plan was, and I know just from talking to Eric a couple times, he's go big or go home. It sounds like, right? Eric is like, damn the torpedoes.
Yeah, I
Let's.
wanted to just
Go ahead,
to see if they'd done another one after that. I wonder who would be the final boss there, so to speak. That will be kind of Tharistan eventually have to show up or something. You never know. Yeah.
Well, you know, if I was them, I would notice that the eastern side of the map was pretty empty.
Yeah.
And I would have set that one in the Great Kingdom.
Yes.
If they got to a fourth one.
Yeah. And you can meet the
well, there's all sorts of hooks in
hell.
Sargent's books that you can.
Yeah,
exploit.
you have the whole hell to play with. That I think will be appropriate and cool. If the Ivids and all that will be kind of fun. Yeah.
Man.
I have to shut down the Cauldron of Night, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crazy levels of super high level fluff.
That's what I'm planning for a future campaign of mine, is to go against hell in the Great Kingdom. That
even though they're still 0 level. Oh, I'm sorry, different group right now.
Oh yeah, but it's a different campaign. No, but meaning I'm planning ahead here, so to speak. I'm planning ahead. So yeah, they have to earn their
third level against hell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. When they're third level, I've unleashed hell literally on them. So yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of still content that we haven't even discussed here, and I just want to. So if I go out of order, Gary, beat me down here and then get me off of the path here. What is this? What is this fifth voyage?
That is the Isle of the Ape. Okay.
Yeah. This is the Adventure. This is Adventure Isle of the Ape. Correct?
Okay. Yes. No. That is something I just created this week.
Oh, all right. So you want to do that last?
No, it doesn't matter.
All right. Okay. Well, let's talk about it then. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is new content.
Yeah.
So some of you may have heard that I also wrote all the KOLN material for the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer and Living Greyhawk Journal. So in Living Greyhawk Journal 1, I gave you a table of all the kings of Keoland from the beginning to the present.
Yep.
And if you notice that a lot of them had epithets, and those epithets tended to kind of tell you a little bit about what they were interested in. And one of those epithets was the navigator, a king named Sandukar, who lived about 600 years ago. And he basically was the one who created the outlines of the maps that we know in the setting. So if because you'd have to imagine that in order for like the city of Greyhawk to have a map of Monoland, someone had to do that work to get the outline of those continents. Now we may not know the details of what's inside these places, and a lot of it may be false or exaggerated or fantastical, but this is something that happened in our real world, where you had Portuguese and Spanish sailors who whose job was to make these very primitive maps that we used to have that exaggerated North America and South America, and come in and do the detailed work that it takes to get those maps more correct. So this king was part of an era in which when Keoland was rising up, it basically was pretty much the most educated dominant power of the Flannis at that time. It was the power that knew how to sail the seas, knew how to use astrolabes and navigate with the stars, and they basically mapped the Azure Sea for us, told us that Crow-Turlep was a closed city. They discovered the fact that Monoland was a continent. So this fifth voyage is particularly important because I name it as the voyage in which the Isle of Dread is discovered.
Oh, okay.
Pro-Can, bless them.
And this is
Yeah.
so this is negative common year if it's 500 to go based off 576, correct?
Right. Maybe
Okay.
minus 150 or so. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is all right. Okay. Before
Now,
the
but
founding of the
remember,
Great Kingdom.
before the founding of the Great Kingdom, but remember, by this point, the Isle of Dread had already fallen a couple of centuries before that. So
Okay.
it had a little bit of time to ripen, to mature, and become, gain its baleful reputation.
So,
Yeah, so actually, if the thing that Gary sent out, that handout, there's a nice timeline in there.
Yep.
The timeline, it really breaks down what happened in that area.
absolutely, this is a fantastic connection made between Keel Land and the Isle of Dread and the whole area. And what Gary says is the honest truth. And Anna, who's been to my house, has seen. I have a map of the New World from 1680 made by Dutch cartographer De Kuipers. California is an island on it.
Right.
Right. So, because they didn't know the Baja, they thought, it's so, and
You have to realize, yeah.
yes,
Or you see these maps where
yeah,
the northeast coast of the U.S. is really detailed, like every little bay and inlet and stuff, and then the opposite side of the continent is open-ended. They don't even have a coast. They don't even know where to draw the coast.
But South America was extremely detailed as opposed to North America in that time frame,
Correct.
on those maps, which is really neat.
Meaning the interior or continents of the world was not properly mapped until the 19th century, and sometimes even into the 20th century, when you can fly over them and take pictures and do sketches and stuff, and that was it. Meaning there was parts of Africa that was not mapped properly until well into the 1900s.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when people thought that somehow by sailing through the St. Lawrence, they were going to find a path out into the Pacific.
Yeah.
So, and then, the discovery of Hudson Bay and that sort of stuff. So,
my delta, the delta of the Mississippi on my map shows it as 7 rivers that culminate there instead, because they never went up it, obviously. And there's all sorts of crazy stuff on it. The 7 cities of gold, they just randomly put them all over the map in the central U.S. They just from the legends. So there's actually locations of those on the map. It's really insane. Just the stuff that when you don't know, you take guesses, I guess. And that's probably a lot of stuff would happen here. That's a great tie-in, man, for history wise, for Greyhawk history.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big history fan, and one of the things I like about doing some of this work is that you end up laying the foundation for something a long time ago that you later build on top of.
Yeah.
So the idea of giving the Isle of Dread some weight is to make sure that it, has some kind of echoes in the past, that you can really, draw upon that and say, oh, okay, there was a time when we did know about the Isle of Dread, and that time is gone. Basically, the last king of that era, something like 500 years ago, he wanted to conquer the Isle of Dread. He took a fleet down there. He moored off the coast, and one night was attacked by a massive sea monster, and his ship was sunk. So that king was dragged to a watery grave right off the Isle of Dread, again giving the reputation of the Isle some more weight. And at that point, the Kiowa pulled the plug on the entire expedition, and never did another Kiowa king go there. So
now the interesting thing is, before the Kiowa went, they knew something about that area because the Sul from the Sul Empire from way back when had colonized all those islands down there. So they were going back to their roots, if you will.
Yeah, you can tell the story of the Densek Gulf in 2 races, the Ullman and then the Sul.
Yeah. The
Ullman were there first, and then the Sul moved across the waters and started to settle all these places. So if you look in Sean Reynolds' Scarlet Brotherhood, you see what the effect of that particular Sul settlement on those particular Ullman people resulted in.
So, speaking of that, Rich, you did a little research on the peoples of different adventures and how it ties in. Like for Tamoacon, you want to just elaborate a little bit there?
So well, it was mostly the gods, right? I read the Tamoacon gods just to see, and just to see how they align and whatnot. And they did a pretty good job with the Savage Tide to keep the different Omen gods of the Scarlet Brotherhood, all aligned with the original Tomokon. The interesting thing about the Hidden Shrine of Tomokon is that the gods are, I wouldn't say mortal, but they're killable. So the Omen gods are there and they're killable, which is an interesting twist compared to the rest of the Flaness gods, right? You're not going to go kill Pelor, but you could kill the Omen gods if you want.
Huh. You get that feeling in the Tomokon adventure that you may even come across them.
They're there. They're there. They're statted out.
Yeah, Kamazats and all, the whole.
Yeah.
But that was definitely that era. First edition definitely had. They contemplated the idea that you could do that.
But the interesting thing is in the Savage Tide, Tatlock, Tlaloc, he's one of the gods, the god of water and rain and all this. He basically, their priests are able to call down this. I'd say it's almost like a mini invoke devastation that they bring down his tear, and they send it down in the middle of the island, and it pushes away all the ocean water for several kilometers or many miles from right there. See that little circle on that map you just have up there beneath the Isle of Dread?
Yes.
There's a tear from one of the Omen gods who pushes all the water out from that huge area, and it holds back the ocean. That's how powerful that spell is, and it's lasted for 1,000 years. So that, in my opinion, is up there with the power of the Evoke Devastation and the Twin Cataclysms. It's in the it's not but it's in the same category as that. So the Omen were able to call down that kind of power from their god.
Never thought about that.
And coincidentally, it happened roughly the height of the Sul Empire, right? Like it's about 1,000 years ago. So you're talking at roughly right before the Twin Cataclysms.
So, Doc Shoulder asked a question about did the Isle of Dread exist in lore prior to publication X1, or was it created de novo for that module? And my guess is it was created for that module.
Yeah, I don't think. It doesn't even have a name in X1, but the idea is that it's what all those people would have grown up on when they were reading pulp magazines and that sort of thing.
The island changes the name.
Yeah. No, that image right there is from the 1976 King Kong movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
That
what's her
one, like, the
name?
best.
Yeah. So if anyone wants a feel for what the Isle of Dread could be like, I think that movie captures it pretty well.
Mhm.
And the idea that these tribes have been separated from the dangers of the island by this massive wall that they didn't build themselves, their ancestors built. But now their ancestors are so far back in time, they think they're just gods.
Canadian asks, was there ever an official release to Return of the Isle of Dread? Didn't Goodman Games re-release it for 5e? I'm almost positive.
Yes, they've done a revision. I think they've redone it in 5th edition.
Yeah, I think
in
so.
that, and included versions of the old module. But interestingly, it doesn't have any information about the Savage Tide lore.
Right, so it's
that was
just back to
all
the
fixed.
expert, right?
Yeah.
Gary's is the return to the Isle of Dread.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't want to write a return to module. Don't say it that way.
So Canadian Gamer was asking about the spell, and he goes, "I would not want to be there when it ends. The spell that holds back the water." Well,
Right.
One of the adventures, your whole job is you got to destroy the tier and let the water back into the island, and then you got to run.
Yep.
Run.
You got a tsunami on your hands.
Wow. So, you have who made the Gary? Is it you, or is it Eric, or am I missing something? Who made the connection of Ullman on Isle of Dread?
So that was me, but I don't think it required, a huge leap. So
Okay.
if you, I better not. I'm not going to touch the subject. Let's just say if you looked at the pictures in the old modules and you looked at the pictures in the new stuff, you wouldn't think that they were the same people, but there was a little bit of a shift there in culture.
Understood.
But yeah, I mean, you do have to rely on these tropes in order to make it, work for a audience that already is familiar with all this stuff from media. But I think there's enough there to imply that it's not, all one-sided material. That there's definitely,
Yeah.
I mean, it is one-sided on the side against the Kopru. They definitely, if you throw up that picture of a Kopru, I mean, there's just nothing likable or lovable about that race. I mean, not only are they nasty, big, and brutish, but they also can charm you just with their look. So they almost have like the power of a siren, where they could just make you jump off your ship without even touching you.
So, are they on the level of Sahagwin?
Oh, they're above that.
They're way-
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's bad.
Sawa again are they're just savage beasts, right? compared
No,
to
they're
these guys.
soulless, aren't they? And they're meant to breed perfect beings, right? Isn't that what it is? The more arms you have, the better for Sahagwin?
Yeah. The barons have 4 arms, 4 or 6 arms.
Yeah. Okay. Because
No, the Kopru would enslave Sahuagin.
Yeah.
Really?
They're yeah, oh yeah,
so that is this.
they're higher on the evolutionary scale of the seas than
All
Are
right. So,
they the mind flayers of the sea?
Yeah, they're the mind flayers of the sea.
they do give you the Lovecraftian vibe.
they do just by the picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, but their religious practices and other things. They apparently, the noble ones deform their skulls so that their skulls, get
Yep.
larger and go up into an apex. So they're really creepy. I mean, they worship Demogorgon. I mean, what else do you need to know?
Yeah.
But
So
what's
there's
funny,
Exactol, right? Is it Exactol worship? Did I say that right?
that word is a nightmare for me. But Zactitl? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that race also worships Demogorgon.
Right.
And one of the ideas I had to put in the 114 backdrop was they actually worship different heads. So
That's awesome.
even Demogorgon himself doesn't know which one he favors of these two races.
That
So
is
he
cool.
pits them against each other, almost like in an evolutionary trial, in order to see which one can develop a mechanism to defeat the other one, and vice versa. But eventually, it looks like the Kopru lost out, and their empire collapsed before the Manta Ray Empire.
When are they? I'm sorry, I'm coming from a novice viewpoint. Are they in X1? Or are they in Savage
Yes.
Tide?
Yes, they're both.
Yes and yes. Mhm.
So they're originally in this X1, this adventure right here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Rich turned me on to a ecology of the Kopru that was printed in Dragon. So if you look at that, you're going to learn, as much as you will find in any one place about that race.
Who created the Moldvay or Zeb Cook?
I don't know which one, but
Okay.
it was definitely in the first module.
I shows you how much I have. Oh, there they are. Oh, and there's a lot of stuff in here I've never heard of. Grangary, Megatheriums, ground sloth. Okay. A lot of cool
Yeah, and
monsters.
That module also introduced Aranea, the magic using spiders,
Yep.
Phanatons,
Yeah.
Rakasta were in that module.
Okay.
Yeah, the Rakasta didn't make it to the Savage Tide though.
They did not. I felt they weren't a good fit for the Ullman, so I actually made them into were jaguars.
Okay. The sword beak's in here, and they call it a Phorohacus, but it goes to sword beak or axe beaks and other, right? So that's kind of
Yeah, the terror birds, I think they're called.
yeah,
they're-
terror bird.
they're
That's
cool.
it. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Okay. And a lot of where's John? Someone wake John from Blue Box up. There's a lot of dinosaurs in here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot. It's pretty much all the famous species.
But see, here's one that doesn't fit. The Dimentrodon, which is millions of years before dinosaurs, right?
Well, yeah, but remember this opened a plane, right, to the
Yeah, that's true.
Savage Plains,
That's
right?
true.
So these monsters are coming from different areas, and
Yeah, so you get apes, mammals that
That's
didn't
true. Yeah.
exist at the same
Yeah.
time as the
Yeah.
dinosaurs, all at the same time. But that's kind of Demogorgon's thing. He wants to revert the world back from civilization to a savage time when he ruled.
Okay.
Yeah, like the later modules in Savage Skies are neat because it gives you a lot of information on the Gaping Maw, which is Demogorgon's realm in the Abyss. So one nice thing about the Savage Side, there's a lot of lore about the different layers of the Abyss that you can mine for adventures there.
Man. He has a fear of dinos. Yeah, he does have a fear of dinos. So, Anna, Mike, audience questions? I mean, there's some stuff we haven't
Just
gone over.
enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
this is
learning a
new
lot.
information to me. I just love it.
I am
It's
learning
awesome.
a ton here.
Yeah.
That
So I have a
not-
comment for
Good.
some additional info. So I was looking up Isle of Dread. I was looking for any little kernel of information I didn't know before. And interestingly, in fourth edition, everybody, Manual of the Plains, they place the Isle of Dread in the Feywild.
Wow.
So we figure that one out. Fast forward to the present. Fifth edition, Dungeon Master's Guide, places the Isle of Dread in the elemental plane of water.
Okay.
Again,
That's
head
typical.
scratching.
That's
So
yeah.
there you
I
go.
like the Feywild idea way more than I like the plane of water. The Feywild really ties in good to my campaign theme. So I think I'll look at that. So
The
to
plane
speak,
of
yeah.
water one, I think it is suggested that it occasionally appears on the material plane and then vanishes
Oh,
back
okay.
to
That
Yeah.
that was one of the
That's an
ideas.
interesting. Yeah.
That was an idea we toyed with in 2004. The idea that maybe the Isle of Dread was a demiplane,
right.
and that it had openings into other worlds like Mystara, or all at the same time. So
So
it
you
really
can
was the same
share, yeah.
place.
Yeah.
But I think that was unsatisfactory because then
Oh.
you'd have a lot more explanation to do.
So, still, Gary, one more time. Isle of the Ape next to the Isle of Dread. That's your placement?
Yeah. The idea
Okay.
is that it is part of the Savage Tide, the explanation for why it has its denizens, and that Zagig, maybe sometime after he ascended, scooped it up and attached it to the Castle Greyhawk.
Okay.
It's
a
funny
demiplane.
this island jumping around. I mean, at the end of the expedition to the ruins of Greyhawk, if you succeed, the whole Castle Greyhawk starts jumping from dimension to dimension after that. So it's almost like TSR likes to take stuff and make them jump from world to world.
Well, it's a good explanation for having that module be a little more useful to other people than just Greyhawk fans.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a strange trope to use over and over again.
Over and over.
So Il Neville, that work is mostly James Jacobs. He did a lot of lore on Demogorgon's backstory, his parentage. Demogorgon has parents, yes, and he has a wife.
Wow.
And he has an entire backstory about his twin-headedness.
That is.
And he has
really
children
cool.
too.
Yes.
Oh.
Pretty nasty stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
But for me, even 20th level is not enough
No.
to really take on that kind of stuff.
No.
So I felt like it was, the ending with, all the candles on the cake. The cake was on fire.
Yeah. So what they had to do to make it work, Gary, was remember they had to, the Orcus had to weaken him, Igwolf had to weaken him, some Eladrim had to weaken him, and then he brought him down to a reasonable 20th level so that the players could kill him off.
See that? Yeah. Again, something I don't like as a DM. I don't like for the PCs to not become the focus anymore of the campaign. Of the challenge, because it just it loses something that way.
Yeah.
Death Knights are chaotic evil, correct, Gary? Not lawful evil? Or does it matter based on the Death Knight? It was a question from Billion, from Dorgrim.
They are most naturally chaotic evil, but they can be of any evil alignment.
Okay, sounds good.
And a couple of them might not even be evil.
Weren't Death Knights supposed to be the equivalent of an anti-paladin? Wasn't that the original concept, to make them chaotic evil versus the lawful good of the paladins.
I don't think.
I think the concept was they wanted to give a fighter option for a lich. So it's kind of the lich for fighters.
And then
So
the
you don't
happy
you don't have to have been a paladin.
And then the happy medium, the animus. Sorry, Asher. I always saw the Death Knight, if we're going to tie that all in with Kargatha and all this, is Death Knight as a truly fallen hero of some sort, and that the evil just takes that person on. It's like, yay! Kind of like, oh god, I'm going to burn in flames for saying this, but kind of like the Ravenloft of of Greyhawk, right? Like that's what the equivalent would be. Instead of falling into Ravenloft, you fall into Death Knight status or something like that. I don't know, but we know that in what is it? Is it they're in Fiendfolio, correct? Death Knights are not in Monster Manual 2.
Yeah, I think that was their original appearance.
It says that they're created by Demogorgon in that book.
Yeah, so whenever people ask me, why did you make that choice? Why did you make the other choice? Almost every single choice I made was actually dictated by the earliest canon.
Yeah.
So, 13 Death Knights, that comes from that entry. Demogorgon, that comes from that entry. Scott Benny's work also mentioned Demogorgon.
Yep,
so Kargoth. And
we got to get him on the show. We got to get Scott Benny on the show. That's a must.
He's out there apparently.
That's a must. Yeah. So.
And how to tie Death Knights back into the Savage Tide?
Yeah.
Vanthus becomes a fiendish Death Knight by the end.
Your antithesis.
Yeah. So it's a Death Knight with wings.
Okay. Understandable. Like I said, they went for the gusto back then. I mean, my guess is Eric Bonas said to James, "Go for it." Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't hold back. In Porphyry House Horror, he don't hold back, man. I mean, that's as R-rated as you're ever gonna get for a module adventure ever published, right? And then the book, the Vile book. I mean, they went for it.
Oh, they were
so
cool experimental times of D&D in a way. So I think they're exalted and those.
So I think he's just like, we got this. Who knows how long we're gonna have it? Yeah. There's the orange cover, of Dread, which is the one you could buy outside of the box set. So
like 5 or 6 copies a while ago.
Well,
Crazy.
there is a good condition one of these is worth a pretty penny, just like every other module out there now. So we got some maps that we haven't discussed. But Rich, do you want to tie in any other religious or peoples to any of your research you've done for this?
Oh my God.
Before we
Not really. I mean,
Rich is steeped in Omen lore right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there in the audience has questions about the Omen,
okay,
we could
it's
field those.
interfering with my Sul mindset, and the Pantheons are fighting in my head. It's very hard.
Okay.
Space gods, yes or no?
The interesting is the Omen gods are predominantly evil. I mean, they went out of their way to make them almost all evil. So even the nicest one is almost evil. They're pretty nasty pantheon.
Does it have something to do with the trope of human sacrifice?
Most likely.
Yeah, but even their fertility god is evil. It's really funny.
Even their god of goodness is evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, that is, from a perspective of there's guys, I'm just putting this, the point of view, savage, right? Point of view is not which is probably not well thought out. And
as I was reading the Dungeon 114 article, there was a line in there written, 17 years ago. I don't think I would have written it today.
Okay.
But back then, it was, I mean,
different time.
It was a different time, and you inhabit the character. People are not good necessarily. They are not all virtuous, and so to have a ship captain basically say, I gave this Ullman chief my word, but it doesn't mean anything when I give it to an Ullman chief. Only to another Aerty gentleman.
Yeah, that can be
So-
perfectly good in an
Right.
adventure to have that.
Yeah. So it just shed more light on the character and his
Okay.
Morals.
morals exactly than on anything the Ullman did. But no, for the most part, the Ullman in the original module, with that tribe, and what we did with it later, they're all pretty virtuous people. They're pretty good people. Like, they're definitely potential allies for the party. If anything, they caution the party against, even taking on these dangers.
So
Savage Tide is very busy. Yeah, the natives of the island are the least of your worries, correct? Because you have the Crimson Fleet, and I think
Mhm.
Scarlet Brotherhood's involved somehow.
No, they
They-
have an outpost, but they don't do
They
anything.
have an outpost. Okay. Just like
James
these.
and those guys never really took that hook and ran with it, but I did in my
Okay.
version, and I'll probably write a little bit more about that. But I like the idea that Greyhawk or the Flannis is on the verge of an age of exploration, an age of sail. A great power competition between Keoland, the Scarlet Brotherhood, the Great Kingdom states, and Lordship Isles and Sea Princes involved too. And that could, of course, lead to conflict far away from the Flannis as they compete for resources and alliances.
Cool.
I have a big question
Yeah.
for you based on that. Is that post LG, post Wars, or post just 576? That thought you just had.
Yeah, I think
Any?
it does have to be after the wars because there's things to resolve there.
Okay.
But maybe a few years after the end of the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, you start to see Keoland rebuild its fleets. You see people start to test the power of the Brotherhood to maintain these
Okay.
southern fleets that they're using to control shipping east and west. So
Post
I think
599. Post 599 then.
it's coming. I mean, nothing
Okay.
stops
Okay.
the Sea Barons and Relastra from circumnavigating Hitmonaland and getting out, essentially breaking out of the Scarlet Brotherhood stronghold on the Tilva Strait.
I think the barbarians will do it first.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Soul Barbarians.
Well, you have Fireland and up there, so yeah.
Okay.
Well, they've already done it, and if you've ever get the chance to see Carlos's work on Fireland,
Oh,
Yeah.
you'll know that that's something.
one day when
Knowing
Carlos
more
is
about it.
ready.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right, Carlos? When he's ready, we're good and ready. We got tidbited for that a couple weeks ago. So hey, what's up, Katano? All right, that's a good point. So the Greyhawk world is rife for ship-based adventuring, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You agree, Rich? I know you do because I know all the stuff you work with that on. You have all the ships all worked out, correct?
I just started a campaign where
Cool.
the people are playing in that area on boats.
Nice. So if you're on Cannon Fire and you need a ship question on size, speed, Rich is the person to go to. Yep, he's
There's
got
actually an article on Cannon Fire. I threw one up.
Can
if
you
guys wanna look
please?
at that.
Oh, did you link it?
It's on Cannon Fire. It's one of the articles.
Okay, if you want, okay. I was going to say if someone wants to link it, or you want to link it, then that would be fantastic. I love ship combat. I've kept it to Harby and Woolly Bay. I haven't gone out into the middle of the seas that much. I kind of like the piracy aspect of it, where there is land nearby, because just disasters can happen on ship very easily, but it's a real fun part. And there's more and more with 3D printing. There's more and more capability for miniature play with ships. It just is, and that's a cool thing too. So
Well, our buddy here, Cannibal, is also working on the depths of those bays as well.
So do you want to show that? We haven't shown that yet. I know it's been on the scroller, but here, let's put this up.
No, I haven't showed you. I don't think I
That's
sent you.
a nice one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I have this. Yeah, you can sent this to me. Look at this.
Okay, so
You did.
in 48 hours, I basically created an entire undersea campaign set.
Yeah.
You Skip Williams the map.
I skipped Williams the map, but there are no orc Reichs on it.
Yeah. So
it's a little tough to read here. I don't know if it's any better.
But it's in the handout, correct?
It's in the handout.
There you go.
But even I'll have to see if that's too small for people. But I can provide a larger one on Cannon Fire. But taking Cannibal's work to define where the depths of the ocean are in the Vohun Ocean, it sort of defines areas where you might place various undersea races and their kingdoms. So those labels are an attempt to figure that out in relation to the Isle of Dread.
And I see you do have Sahagwin south of the Koparu on here.
Yeah, although a lot of these races, for instance, like merfolk, they're going to have multiple realms on different sides of the map. So Huagin could, they're going to appear in the Azure Sea. They're going to appear in off the coast of Keoland. So it's not an exclusive placement.
Please explain the Dalrin exclusion zone to everyone.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
Okay, so I wasn't going to get into. I did not put this yet into the guide.
Okay, but I have.
So, do you have Anna's map there?
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to switch. Real quick to another screen, and give me 1 second here. No, this won't be a problem.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Anna's map of the Southern Seas. It basically ends right here. Why did you decide to end there, Anna? Do you know what was the factor?
It was simply getting so large that I realized it would never be printed, and also I ran out of pixels that I could use, so to speak. The software of the day and
limitations.
You have 30,000 pixels, and that is the largest that you can effectively use in normal file formats. So that is and now it's up to 26,000. I reduced it a little bit to make it fit PDF and stuff. So it's basically a technical limitation. And I've also screwed up that part down there because I didn't research it much. I just took part of it. And Mike Bridge, and now Mike's excellent map, and now you come a lot. So that's one of the areas that will receive attention in this year's update, coming more details. So that's something I want to dig into and change things and
on my
do an
map,
extra
I
fill-in
ran
map.
out of room.
Yeah.
I drew it on paper first, and I ran out of room. That's why I didn't finish the bottom half. I had my.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So
it's always amazing
I want
to
your
hear.
help in that, and yours too, Gary, with kind of fixing that and mapping that part of it.
So because of the Scarlet Brotherhood supplement, we know basically all of Hitmonaland. And that is, all the way to the tip. And the maps that he included in that source book were interesting in that they were panels from the east side and on the west side, the Amedio and the Hitmonaland. But they misleadingly give you the impression that they were continuous to each other, right? So you can totally understand why Anna said, okay, I have this map here and I have this map here. If I put them together, that's the complete picture.
Yeah.
And that was very reasonable. And, one of the things a lot of us do, there's like a whole group of people who are so interested in these world maps of Auric, of Orth, and they're, constantly playing with that Dragon Annual map and making their own and trying to play around with the shapes. And, we tend to go back to that 1983 glossography map, which I don't think I sent you, Jay, but if you look at that map, so it would be the oldest reference. There's actually an island in the middle of the Densek Gulf.
Yeah, right.
And it's not even a small island. It's like
it's a huge one.
It's like 300 miles long by like 75 miles wide. So it's again another Cuba size island.
Yep.
And so last fall, so I think I pointed out to Anna a few months ago, and I said, oh, we need to put that back on the map because it's there in the 1983 glossography. And then Mike's map, he had caught that, back in 11 when he did his map, he put it on there, and his map is the clearest, I think, of the relationship of the Isle of Dread to the Denset Gulf to this island that we're talking about.
It probably belongs to the Crimson Fleet now.
Well, so last fall, I said, okay, we've got this island, and we have Len passing away. So I said, I'm going to make this island an homage to Len.
Oh.
So the island is called Dauren, which is an anagram of Leonard.
Right.
And there's going to be a bunch of lore written up about it in the future.
I did not know that, Gary.
Yeah.
That's
wow. And I'm actually playing, and it's funny because when you get these like real world things that happen, then you're like, oh, this real world thing kind of gave me an idea for a fantasy thing. And I said, this island appears and disappears from maps.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm
something,
going to put it in.
Is that something that maybe is true? Maybe people are sometimes unaware of the existence of this island. So we'll talk more about it down the road, I guess, but maybe I'll do a Orth Journal article on it.
Wow.
Awesome.
So this island was never a Crimson Fleet island at all. And this is not the one with the mist around it, correct?
No, that's further to the west.
Okay.
The narrow band of islands further to the west of the Pirate Isles. Those are the dragon inhabited Mist Kingdom.
Okay.
It's fun. There are a couple of geographical features that disappeared. One is the forest in Foryundi that disappeared, that is on that map, and then disappeared on the Darlene map, and then reappeared in Living Greyhawk era again, so to speak. And this is another example of something that disappeared and then reappeared. So
I'll just give you one clue. I mean, I'm going to involve the Soul because it's Len.
Yeah.
Nice.
But the suggestion is that 1,000 years ago, we thought Slerotin was the last major power, and it may not have been true.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome story. Yes.
So we'll play with that legend.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. And so so we need to sketch on it because I plan to dig into a major upgrade this summer of to the 21 version, and I want to have that sorted out by then.
Yeah,
at least in very general terms.
I wonder with that hourglass shape of the island, and if it's two volcanic.
That's cool. We can make it two huge volcanoes that with a little bit
joined,
yeah. Either that, or you can have some sort of we can have like a ridge with volcanoes popping up and with a center thing in or something cool.
New content.
Yep.
It's awesome. Come on, Rich. You had to have said it's got to be Sewell.
I said, it has to be Sewell, and he should put Lord Brezin as the last major power, but Gary's pushing back on that.
Yeah.
But I heard Lord Brezin's like 3rd level or something.
Well, I mean, you could
level up over time.
But his 3rd level and a campaign.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So
he adventured for 26 years, and then he reached 3rd level. So yeah.
So it's worth a lot more.
Yep. Yep.
That is awesome. Gary, I knew nothing about that. You hit it very well. That is fantastic.
That is so cool.
So, did you collaborate with Troy on placing the Zizactyl Empire in the Copper Kingdom areas, or was that your undoing there? And that he put them in?
I didn't give Troy any direction on how to do his undersea map.
Okay.
It's only once he showed it to me that I suddenly got ideas, and I said, "Oh yes, this is going to work perfectly." So, I mean, I knew the Kopru Kingdom had to be centered around the Isle of Dread.
Right.
And then it was just a matter of everything else falling into place.
That's awesome.
And then, you know that certain races, Kraken and that sort of thing, can go deep down into the ocean. So all that just tends to just fall into place. So one idea we've been talking about this week is once we wrap up the Underdark Postfest this coming month, maybe this summer we'll launch an undersea Postfest that can focus on the oceans or lakes or rivers, anything tangential to those topics.
Man. So much content here when you think about it in an area that a lot of people don't even think twice about playing in, right?
Yeah.
Look at that amazing profile view of an island like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that really makes me want to do a profile view of Iron Gate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And when I look at that first map from the glossography, there is the interesting further southwest. There's another island that is like moon shaped like this. That it looks just like the one of these old
Crescent.
crater, old crater islands that are the last remnants of an old volcano. So maybe it's an area that have super volcanoes, really, really large volcanoes down there, and that way you can tie that island into having two volcanoes that are next door, so to speak, and then you can have another one that is like an ancient volcano that blew millions of years ago and is now just the rim left over.
Like where they think Atlantis is. Where's that?
Yeah, well, you have Krakatau and you have what's the island, the Greek island.
Yeah, that's the one where it's
Santorini.
That's it, Santorini.
Yes,
yeah, that's
Santorini.
it.
Because so those are the and there are several Greek islands that are that way, old volcanoes that it blew. So it looks like geology that is interesting from a fantasy perspective because it opens up a lot of interesting things.
Why would these people in Cauldron build their city on top of a volcano?
Well, those areas are surprisingly rich in all sorts of nutrients and stuff. So agriculture around volcanoes are usually very, very, very good. And it's also, if the volcano doesn't blow, it's natural protection, meaning you have walls around that are higher than almost anything that you can, much higher than anything you can build man-made. So it makes a lot of sense. If the volcano is truly dead, I think it's an awesome.
And you have obsidian, right, Anna? You can make obsidian weapons.
Well, yeah, there come so many interesting things out of volcanoes that are useful. So
you better be praying to Jorami every day.
Oh yeah, exactly. You have to. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted's Isles of Woe.
Yeah.
Mike.
All right, let's see what other maps I have here. So, what is this Gullas Morga? What is this? Is that in the center of the Isle of Dread?
Yeah, so this is where it gets interesting. Remember I was talking about the Tir Tlaloc, whatever his name is?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was 1,000 years ago, or maybe 1,200 years ago, the Olmen, when they colonized the island, a bunch of Aboleth had an empire below the Isle of Dread. And the Aboleth were sending their slaves up to slaughter the Olmen. So the Olmen basically dropped this tier down and pushed all the water away and paralyzed all the Aboleth. And that's an Aboleth city.
Oh, okay.
So it's cool because it's the first Aboleth city I've ever seen in any written module. So it describes how weird it is. Like,
if you zoom in on it, it's really weird.
I mean, they talk about these giant hearts that are just beating.
Is it a dead city now, or is
no?
Is
so
it still an Aboleth city?
Yeah, it's an underwater city that has all the water removed. So most of the things are dead. Aboleths don't die when they're deprived of water. They turn like a hard shell. So they're alive, but encased in their own body.
Oh my gosh.
And so they go crazy. And that city was filled with a lot of living organs. So you walk through it and describe how you can see a lung breathing next to you.
Oh my
you
gosh.
See things crawling. And it's this full organic city that's got the water removed. So it's really
creepy as hell.
Really creepy as hell. And there's a picture of it as well in one of the modules, in one of the dungeons.
Yeah, this is from the episode Lightless Depths, which is, I think, one of the best in the entire series.
Yeah.
Okay. This is part of Savage Tide.
It's like the descent into the vault of Savage Tide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds pretty creepy. Sounds like Tim would like it.
And then what happens is, like I said, at one point in this Savage Tide, you have to break the spell so water comes back in. So the nice thing is, if you want to do a return to Isle of Dread, you come back in the year 620 or something, the Aboleth are all alive again, and they've re-inhabited Gullas Mora underneath the island.
So can an aboleth that's in a shell or whatever get its body back, or those are
It comes
done?
back once it gets wet.
Oh,
It moistens its skin, and then the shell becomes soft again, and they
shouldn't
come back
necessarily.
to life, or they
Okay,
come back to mobility.
that's like a protection. All right.
Sea monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Wonder who created the aboleth as a monster in the first place. Wow. So it took
Been around for a while now, right? 20 years, 30 years at least.
Yeah,
Oh, I think it's old. Yeah.
It was a
definitely.
monster manual too.
Yeah, but I'm trying
I
to think
think
of the
yeah,
first
yeah, that's what
adventure
I
I
think.
recall seeing an aboleth in.
Hmm.
So, anyone remember the first adventure you saw an aboleth in? It's so.
And they were never, not many Greyhawk adventures, that's for sure.
I think there's one or two. Yeah, they are
There's
Lovecraftian.
one in Grok Ruins.
Yeah. Yep. So, I think it was in a module first. For some reason, I want to think that it is in the Showcanth monster supplement. Is that correct, Carlos? That it was in all those, but it wasn't in actually Showcanth, but it was in the monster supplement in Showcanth? Carlos would know that answer because we always talk
Yeah.
about that. Yeah. So, yes, we're going to talk about that at the end, Carlos, the ever mysterious Tim game. So, wow, look at it. It's only 20 minutes away from full time. Pretty amazing that,
What? I thought we only gone for like half an hour.
No.
Yeah.
One
It was
thing,
so much fun.
I am not staying up late tonight because I ain't going to get sleep in 4 days, right? In three whole nights after tonight. It's going to be a long one. And Ann and I are going to be doing after dark chats that start at
Yep.
midnight Eastern.
Yep.
So for 3 straight nights, it's going to be a blast. Let's see. So I'm just seeing what else. I think we went through mostly everything that I have been supplied. But so Gary and Rich, what would you give us a synopsis of everything that like to just say at this point on where we are with the Isle of Dread and Greyhawk and what we're going to be doing in the future. So while he's talking, I got a sun issue. So go ahead. Go ahead.
You want to start, Gary? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to point out that the draft we put out today was just a starter. What I could pull together. And think there was definitely a crunch in the last few days, so what I could pull together, and it's going to be greatly expanded. And in some sense, anyone who's picked up a copy today, feel free to send me an email and let me know your thoughts and what more you'd want to see, because I could put it in the final draft. I can't just take Dungeon 114 and copy and paste it and put it in there. I could reformulate it or restate it in a different way, but because of the copyright situation, I can't even extensively quote my own article. So, but if there's more you want to learn about the Isle of Dread, definitely let me know and we'll cover it. But one idea would be to take that map with all the encounter locations and all the mysterious locations and provide a key for every single one of those for DMs to use.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one thing about the Savage Tide. The key of the Isle of Dread has so many cool hooks that are not even explored when you actually run it as part of the campaign. Like a lot of side treks that you could do.
That's kind of that brings up an interesting issue, Rich, which is I think if you really want to run one of these adventure paths, you almost want to build in a lot of side treks to kind of explain why PCs might be advancing, or maybe you save Lavinia Vanderborn in the first couple of adventures, then you go off to the Flannis and you do other things, you run in other modules, the slavers, and then you hear that she's in trouble again, and then you come back and find out her bastard of a brother has come back, and you then jump on the next few episodes of the Savage Tide. So you don't have to run them continuously.
And you stretch it over years, so it makes sense by the time your guy's 20th Lowe's has been adventuring for 30 years, right?
Exactly. So it becomes like the big thread in a campaign, but not the only threads in a campaign.
And one nice thing is this whole concept of Far Shore. So Far Shore has under 100 inhabitants, if I remember correctly, or thereabouts,
Mhm.
and the Ulmen are only about 2,000. So the actual population in that area is under 3,000 people. So if you want to use that as a base of operation for your players, which is safe, relatively good, you get to go up north to fight the pirates, you get to explore islands, you get to go under seas. It's a great place to set a start of a campaign.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little bit like, Jamestown or the Roanoke colony. Uh, I half kind of want to send my PCs back there after they'd visited Farshore once, come back and find the entire place deserted with just the word Croatoan carved into a tree,
Ooh, yeah.
and have them have to, discover the mystery of where the inhabitants went.
Yeah. No, it's I like it. Like I said, I could see how you could really take this and run a whole campaign centered on the Isle of Dread without even leaving that area. There's a green dragon there. There's a sea turtle. There's gargoyles on the island. And then there's all these side islands which they describe the monsters on that they don't give the details. So Far Shore, Canadian gamer, Far Shore, not Far Town.
Yeah, Farshore. Hey, civilization pops up in the remotest of places all over
Yeah.
the real world too. So,
Mhm.
you know,
And
And the thing is,
that's
that
it, Lomas. To always the Forbidden City, I-1, right? Is that I-1?
that's a location with more Ullmen who dabbled in bad stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
And that whole area, that whole area was a constant war between the Olmen and the Sul, right? So you could have ruins and leftover of armies and battles and shipwrecks of the two cultures clashed together and landed on different islands down that area. So you can really go pretty far with all this ancient tech, if you will, right? Bronze Age Sul and old magic items and whatnot laying about.
Yeah, and you could have dragon glass made weapons,
Yeah.
obsidian made weapons with
Yeah.
magical effects and plus bonuses. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the Ullmen were not primitive; they were very sophisticated and could use magic. Like Rich said, the spell that they used to defeat the aboleth is like epic.
Yeah, so Extort is asking, yes, it's the Tuve. The Tuve, but they're in Monoland. So actually, Carlos was asking way at the beginning of the thread, why did they leave Hitmonoland? So the Omen started in Hitmonoland, and they fought against the Tuve, who were in the south of Hitmonoland, and eventually they lost. But by the time they had lost, they'd already colonized a little bit westwards. So when they lost, they fled Hitmonoland in bulk, and then they colonized the Amidio and all the islands there. By the time they were fleeing, the Sul were already spreading in that same area, so there was a lot of fighting going on. And then the twin cataclysms happened, and the Oman Empire collapsed all at the same time. So it's a very neat timeline. Actually, if you look at the Southern Seas timeline I put in the Discord, those of you who are on Canonfied Discord, it gives a little bit more detail about Monoland and the Olmen and the Tuve and all this stuff. The Tuve and all this is in the Scarlet Brotherhood. That's the Scarlet Brotherhood handout or accessory. Basically, this guy.
Yeah, that module introduced a whole new race or culture to the world of Greyhawk.
Whew. Sorry, as you can all imagine, I'm getting pre-bombarded with pre-Gary Con stuff all over the place. So this leads to a lot of openings. Then we talked about Mark Castle. We should do something about that in the future. We should talk about Isle of the Ape. We should discuss that in the future. I mean, a lot of other things that really should be discussed and the gully. Wow, that was a low blow. I sure the gully soul. Oh my gosh, that's a low blow. Oh, that's fighting. Them's fighting words to Rich. Oh my, oh my.
Ash has just become a villain in my campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be an NPC called the Asher, and he's gonna get what's coming to him.
You're gonna go back to Asshurt the bear.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a year ago.
Yeah.
So Green Lunar, you will find out and role play with me when Baron Desley talks to you before the joust. Good question. So look at that, 10 minutes before, and we know how long shoutouts take. So
Yeah.
I want to say thanks to Gary and Rich for.
Yeah.
I am overwhelmed with new
Mhm.
data that I did not have after this, before this. I mean, crazy
Yeah.
stuff that all makes sense now, and
A lot of fun.
yeah, a lot of opportunity. Whether it's for my players, don't know, but it's for a lot of people out there. I guarantee you, the bells are ringing for a lot of people watching tonight on new content. I've never been here before. Wow, I got a whole connection now. I don't have to do Savage Tide. I can take parts of it, tie it into Isle of Dread, and I can make an entire campaign out of this. And you have the Scarlet Brotherhood reference to tie that in, and all sorts of other maps, and you can go to town in this area.
My whole Sea Princess campaign is just cannibalized Savage Tide.
Awesome.
Except I kept it close to home rather
Right.
than go down on the Isle of Dread.
And
I am
the
not
other thing is-
geek. I'm not going to run Isle of Dread. I've already talked to my guys, and they're not interested. So,
Mm-mm.
and the reason
some of
is
the-
they don't want to fight dinosaurs. They just they're like giant blue box. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. But it doesn't fit into my Order of Eula campaign at all. It has really nothing. It's just. But that's just me. But there's hundreds of other. The Order of Eula going to go and claim the Isle of Dread and put the banner down in the middle of it. It's just.
Well, you could
What
do
was that,
like
Rich?
you could do a one-off.
You can just
I could do
get-
one-offs. Yeah,
set them down there.
I did an ode to the Isle of the Ape about a year ago, where they got shipwrecked and they appeared on a island. And it was live streamed, and it was like there was all this ape worship, and there was this shrine and all, and it was an ode to Isle of the Ape.
See,
So I
then
actually
you've
did
been there.
one.
You've been next door. So yeah.
Right, and they had to figure out how to get back, and they found out that there was a special ancient teleporter to get him off the island. Yeah, I did an actual adventure not too long ago. So yeah.
So you already been there. Yeah.
Close.
Almost.
And Isle of the Ape's part of Expedition to the Ruins of Greyhawk, too. You actually go to the Isle of Ape in that adventure, too. So, I've been there twice. And you get to go to Dungeon Land, too. Oh, my gosh. Okay. So, we all know there's a lot going on in the next 4 days. So, let's see what everyone has going on. Mike, what's going on?
Well, not a whole lot with me as usual. If you go to the Greyhawkery, you can see me playing around with some pronunciations, some old pronunciations, but still always fun. Otherwise, I'm really itching to read more about the Isle of Dread handout.
Download it. Take a
And,
look. It's pretty cool.
yeah.
So, no, you going to play in any games?
Between work and other things, I didn't see anything that really fit.
Okay.
And of course, a lot of early stuff that was taken, but I don't know.
Mike, I'm not gonna shy him into it or whatever. My brain is off it. Gary, I said Mike's got an open invitation to join us on the Ask the Experts. So there you go for Sunday. Which Gary, we're gonna. You think you got your fill of Gary tonight? Just wait.
Uh-oh.
Right? You got Gary. I got 2 more times coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
So what a fun time. All right, Anna, shoot it up there. What do we got going on?
I'm going to make a short one. I'm just working on seminar prep, so that's the big one, and so I'll promise to Jay to have all the slides ready tomorrow. So yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm on 15 right now, and I don't know exactly how many more it will be, but hopefully not too many. But there will be some unfortunate reoccurrences that I haven't done yet, so we need to go back to them. So I really get my butt off the office chair and kind of will sit down at my desk long enough to actually do it. But the time has come for some of the projects that I've wanted to do before, like the Lendor Isles. So that one, but I don't have anything new to come. But I'm going to talk about it a bit. But and then there will be a presentation on what the new generation of Greyhawk maps will actually look like, so to speak. So there will be some of the capabilities of it, so to speak. So I think that will be interesting, and I will talk a little bit about some of the weird stuff on my campaign too. Because I kind of stick my head into things that most DMs kind of don't want to mess with, so to speak. And I don't let my the characters ever level up either, so we'll see. Yeah, but it will happen. It will happen. I promise my players it will happen, but not yet.
So I want everyone to know, and I said this again on Sunday night, because of the way Gary Kahn does scheduling and the way we do scheduling, and we do it ahead of them, Anna's got squeezed out on Gary Kahn Greyhawk. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is happening, but it's on Lord Gazumba. It's the only way it would work. So Friday, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. So half hour earlier than a normal Gavin. All right, so we start at 7. Carlos starts at 8 for his game on Gary Kahn Greyhawk, then 9. When we are done, we are going to raid into Gary Kahn Greyhawk with all the people on here. Now remember this, you can have 2 things up at once and get credit for them, but only 2 on your Twitch viewers. So there you go. So you can have both Anna's and Carlos's up at the same time. A lot of people don't know that, but there you go. So you can do that. So note that, keep those numbers up for both of them. And this is one of the anomalies that we have. The other anomaly we have, Anna and I, and you're only going to see it on the schedule. On this schedule is every night at midnight Eastern, 11 Central. We have Greyhawk After Dark chat. What that is, we will both find out. Okay, because a lot of I'm going to be in my basement most of the time, setting up terrain for the next day. So I will not be up here. I think I may be up here Saturday night. No, it's Sunday. No, one of the nights I'm going to be up here. It's probably Friday night. Yeah, because I'll be up here Friday night, but Thursday night and Saturday late night I will be down in the basement. So, and we may have some guests show up, and we're just going to chat about what happened the day, and then we're going to talk about what's going on the next day. So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun little discussion. It'll last about an hour. But it's on Lord Gazumba as well. So there's 4 streams of Lord Gazumba. Everything else, with the exception of the last event, and I'll go over that shortly, is on Gary Kahn Greyhawk of mine. So there you go. So that's a little. If you want to find it, those 4 events are going to be here, hidden here only. So, well, Anna, thanks for that. Rich, what's going on, man?
Well, I'm running 2 games, 2 campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
So that's keeping me busy, and I'm playing the 3rd. So the fun part is covered. So I did a lot of hobbies. I just finished the Low Road Through the Lort Mills with David Leonard for the Post Fest. 16 pages long, so that'll be interesting. So once that goes out, that'll go out in about a month or so, right, Gary? About that?
Right, and that's very usable in an Altamira campaign.
Well, and I want to say thank you to you both that you connected Hearthguard Tower, right?
Yeah.
My campaign to it, which I really appreciate. So the Dwarven Tower that's been there, it's been ruined multiple times, has now been rebuilt for like the 3rd time. So, yep, very cool.
Yep. So we put that in, and obviously preparing for tonight and working on a lot of the South Seas timeline and all that has been eating up my time, and a few odds and ends on Cannon Fire.
Very cool. Well, we appreciate it tonight. Thank you.
Welcome.
Gary, what's going on?
I don't know. I'm so tired.
You're going to be tired.
I had to scrape myself together for this. I am in the joust.
Yes, I'm going to I hit the wrong button. Jeez, I can't remember which is which. There we go. They're both wrong. Oh my gosh, Jay. How about this one? I can't remember which. I didn't. Which is which? Which shout out is which here? Oh my gosh. It's got to be this one then. There we go. So Saturday night is the Grand Joust of Altamira. All right. and if you've seen the terrain, this is when Gary Con, well, I'm sorry, when Grail Con ended, and we had our largest viewing audience ever with Eric Mona, Luke Gygax, Steven Chenault playing, Mike played, Anna played, and Chuck Cumbo played. I said, how are we going to outdo that? And Bill and I said, visually. So if we have really, really attempted to step up our production quality, and Gamescape 3D really stepped it up and built the tilt wall for us, and then Bill put it all together. If you haven't seen the pics, I'm going to start posting the pics all over the place next couple days. I'm trying to get things out in chronological order. Gary Holian is a special character, the Black Knight of the Great Kingdom. Okay.
Can I spend channel points now in favor of Gary?
Here's the problem.
Oh,
You can't spend any channel points. It's on Gary Con Greyhawk.
Oh.
And they don't work.
Rats.
You can't cheer. You can't cheer for these, unfortunately, which keeps it fair for everyone. And if it's chainmail rules. So tactics are very important, and where your aim point is and where your defensive positioning is in this joust. And if you make a mistake, it could be costly. So it's a single for 4.5 hours to get through 16 competitors. It's a one and done single elimination. Now it's 3 passes for each joust between the two. All characters are seeded. I have done the seeding. If you want to know where your character is, I probably won't tell you because I don't want you planning against other people. But the Black Knight is 4th seed. Okay, so note that the Black Knight is seeded 4th out of 16.
I'm feeling a March Madness vibe here.
You should feel March Madness vibe here. So you've probably seen this, but this is what's down on the table now. So all unbelievable 3D prints and setups and custom builds by Bill the Master Crafter. I mean, you do not get 17 individually customized painted miniatures for every character. All right, so
the Black Knight went to Duke.
Yes, exactly.
Zephyrin University. Duke Zephyrin.
So, look, we got our banners up. We got from the campaign. It just is we're excited about this. There's going to be some RP in there. Tim, the ever mysterious Tim, is the Grand Herald, and Tim has Shakespearean actor background, so you know that he's bringing it too, and he's going to bring a little bit of a comedy angle to it a little bit. The results here affect the campaign. There's been 6 previous winners going back 30 years. And this will be the 7th. And I know this is a little cheesy, and I haven't gotten the engraving yet, but the winner will receive an actual trophy.
Oh.
Okay, and they'll have. I'm waiting for the engraving to get here, the engraving plaque. But we have a trophy for.
Is it magical?
Oh, wow.
What's that?
Is it magical? Bestow some effect.
Well, you never know. But I'm saying is, I have, and you will have this forever. If you win as the player, you will get to keep this. And
That's
I will
giving
send
me cup and talisman vibes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some other special guests. Okay, Kayla, Time Lord's wife, will be playing the daughter of a former champion, the champion Elaine Winchester, Erin Winchester. She's a fighter, dual class actually, but she's using her fighter for this. And I just found out that Stella Luna, who played in the fundraiser,
Good.
will be playing Lady Isarel of High Folk, an Elven Cavalier. So we have a full complement of great VIP guests, signups, special invites like Troy Cannibal and Patrick Canadian Ancient Gamer are playing, and all the 6 of you who signed up and got in, you're all in. I'm thinking that the people may be a little too small, and I may have to adjust some screens still to fit this, but that's exciting. I want to have fun with it. So if you get eliminated in the first round, remember 8 of you will be knocked out the first round. It's just math, all right? Just have fun with it and just hang out and root for or jeer whoever you want. You know, there'll be good guys and bad guys. You'll know. Yes, Grendel Wolf picked we all know Chuck's character Josh Death Dealer. Well, Chuck was going to play in it, but he can't because of all the conflicts he has. And we thought he would be the last character picked. Well, Gitano was kind enough to pick Josh Death Dealer, the absolute worst character in this joust because he is childhood friends with Fritz Winchester. There you go. So Chuck is in for it. Chuck's character's in for it, and Gaetano was nice enough to take him, and so I can't wait. It'll be a blast. And then Gary, what else are you doing this weekend coming up? You have something even. I think that maybe this thing may be our largest show ever. So what is it? What do we got going?
I am apparently sitting in with a bunch of experts.
And there it is. The Greyhawk asked the experts. Yes.
AKA there will be blood.
There will be. Let's see if I hit the right button this time. There we go. Okay. So the Greyhawk asked the experts.
Jay, before you jump, somebody in chat wanted to know if they could buy the minis for the joust. Their own minis.
Buy their own minis. You mean afterwards?
Yes.
No, like souvenirs.
As a souvenir.
Well,
you could auction them for your charity, one of the charities.
We could talk about that, but note that Bill, when he makes something, he likes it being utilized. That's a possibility. We could talk about that, but Bill has put in. I don't even want to tell you how many hours he's put into this. I mean, I've basically I chained him to an old radiator and said, "I'm kidding," but he's
sold him.
Yes, we could talk about that. You never know, but maybe we can do something on that end. Let's think about that as we go. Yeah, let's have fun with this. This is going to be a fun event, right?
Remember, even if you're just a member of Lord Gasuma's community, you can come watch the joust. You don't have to buy a ticket.
Absolutely,
in the audience. So
Gary Con Greyhawk. Yep.
Let's pack the audience with hot maidens and Black Knight fans.
Absolutely, please. Root for whoever you choose to root for. Note that because it's on Gary Con Greyhawk and it's not an affiliate, you can't cheer, you can't sub there, but you can follow it. So
you can jeer.
Absolutely.
Players,
you can jeer and you can root and all. But that's why this final event is so important. The Greyhawk asked the experts. Eric Mona, Gary Holian, Alan Grodog Growy, Eric Boyd, and Malden. All you can ask them anything you want. Oh, absolutely. Anyone can watch. Anyone can watch on Gary Con Greyhawk. I am dual streaming this, and I'm going to tell you why. Last show, and this way I can do giveaways. So note that I have the complete set of first edition books donated by Patrick, the complete second edition book set that he donated. Other stuff we're going to give away. We got a ton of giveaways on this show. I am shooting for this show to be approach top of all time as far as viewership. I think it's going to be a monster, and it starts 7 Central. And Gary's kind enough to join us for this, and I think Eric's just going to be great in this field too. And Anna and I will be hosting and just sitting back and relaxing on this because I'll be done by then. I'll be like this. I'll be unconscious by that point. So yes.
So Jay, for people who can't watch it live, is it going to be taped or recorded?
Oh yeah, every stream. So here's the problem with most of these streams. I got to figure this out. If I can get, I got to get them downloaded. But this one, since it's going to be on my channel on Lord Gazumba, I will have a copy and it'll go on YouTube. Yeah. The other stuff though, since it's going on Gary Con Greyhawk, I got to get them to download it for me, then Dropbox it, and then upload it to YouTube. So. But this one will definitely be a YouTube view after, and Twitch. It'll be on Twitch for 90 days too, but YouTube it'll be on there forever. Yep.
You are strongly encouraged to formulate questions that will troll the experts.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, Gary, should we talk about the wiki?
Go for it.
The Gary Holian wiki page.
Oh no, we don't.
The
deletionist of one.
We shall.
No, let's ask Eric how he would extract canon from the Rose Estes books. I'll bring the receipts from 1994.
Well, I have
oh
books.
man!
Yeah.
All right,
that was his first post ever in the Greyhawk community. How he found a bunch of interesting canon to extract from the Rose Estes books, and he'd like to share it with us.
That's awesome.
Do we have the examples?
Oh yeah, I've got the email.
Good.
Oh,
that
nice.
is awesome. Yes.
But he also signed off that email as the master of your puny reality, and God damn it, he became the master of our puny reality.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
See?
Prophetic.
It's going to be some great memories and some good reminiscing in that show. All right, so big thing tomorrow night. DM's roundtable discussion. I don't know. I think it's number 7. So we got a lot of Chuck at Colombo and the owner of Troller Games, Stephen Chenault, who you saw almost kill me in that Troller Game adventure I did last week, right? But he didn't. And Kayla is going to be our newbie 5e person. And William Henry Dvorak, Giant Stomp, who's streaming now, who's been on every one, will join us as well, especially as Jason Vey, who owns Elf Tree Game. I forget the name of it. I'm sorry. My brain is fried at this point. That's tomorrow night. And then for those of you who want to see Carlos and Anna play a barbarian game, you can't miss this. You cannot miss Saturday morning's game. This is
was a lot of fun last
yeah,
time.
Dark Hand Head Hunt. You can't miss this with the ever mysterious Tim DMing. Okay, and I'll just be producing it and sitting back and sleeping. You got Catano, William Henry Dvorak, Carlos, Anna, Steve Fritzma in it. He got the sign-up spot. A couple other, Matt Lazinski. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful. You'll understand with Tim DMing why some days I want to, Tim is very technical, and it'll be fun, and just barbarians are a blast. So, Carlos, what's the name of your character? Put it in the chat. Because Carlos is a barbarian cleric in this one, so it's pretty neat. That is Saturday morning. Note, if you want to really torture yourself and get up even 2 hours earlier, there is a Lore Masters Arcanum on 6 a.m. Central with John from Blue Box, Tim, and a couple other people on earlier to start off that day. So very, 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 very interesting there. And then, yes,
Are there any sessions for GaryCon that don't have full players? That
yes.
Push?
I've been pushing hard, and you need to go to tabletop events, type in 05. All right, so here are some of them. I think Prometheus, you got yours filled now. I think Leslie Reno has a spot or two in one of his games. Oblivion. I know Amy Crittenden had, I think, 2 to 3 spots, maybe just 2 now open in her game. Okay, and that's the Fountain. But the 2 that are upsetting to me is that Antiquarius, Jonathan Dawes, who runs his Zeef games, is really had like 2 signups for both of his games, and he's a fantastic DM, and we should really, really get into those games. Absolutely. Also, Casey Brown's Bandit Kingdom tourney, only one of the 3 tables was filled. Another one that we really should fill. I will figure out. I got to get with Jimmy Duffy and say, Jimmy, you got to let me download off of the site, and I will get all of my streams archived on my YouTube. So, all right. So you only need 1 for Saturday now. So Casey's down to 1 needed for Saturday, but several for Friday. Well, Casey, if you have to go with a 2-table game, maybe that's not bad. But there you go. So at least Casey's got 2 games that are going to go. They're going to run at this point. Don't be scared of Casey.
No, it was great. He was a DM at Greyhawk Con for me. Really good job. A lot of fun.
And this is the last time Casey's going to run these. He's going to retire this after this con. So this is the last time, the opportunity to run this great adventure. And then there's a lot of Greyhawk Reborns. I think we're down to 15 events that had seats open still. So if you can't afford a ticket, just get with me and I'll see what I can do. Okay? Anyone else want to say anything in closing? It's going to be a big, big weekend.
Yeah, I just wanted to say.
Oh, we got to do the giveaways. Go ahead, Anna.
Oh yeah, but I just want to say thank you to Rick and Gary for coming on and indulging us so much. This was awesome. Yeah.
Very good time.
Retire those adventures, Crimson, not him. He's going to retire that adventure. So for the people, Vic Danger, Amanda Rue, Stephen Strategy, Chuck has been so overwhelmed with GaryCon prep that he has not gotten me the codes for the Gaxmore books yet. I apologize. Note, I have it written down. As soon as he sends them to me, I will immediately forward them to you all. Please note that is, know me. I'm quick on giving out stuff. I just haven't gotten the codes yet, and I apologize for that. But we will get them as soon as they're really putting him through the ringer. Let me just say that for Chuck. All right. Last second call if you want to get in. First draw, you get your choice. First one, you want the $25 gift certificate for Carlos, licensing CSL Entertainment, which you could always use to buy this. Okay. Or if you want the $25 gift certificate to Reaper Miniatures, your choice. First winner. All right, here we go. The win. And these are gift certificates. These are easy. First winner. There you go, Gallagher. You got to win there. Your choice, dude. Pick which one you want. And let me know. Second winner. Let me just make sure. I want to make sure he's on. He's on. Good. Your choice, man. Just let me know which one, okay? And the second winner, do you want Reaper or CSL Entertainment $25 gift certificate? Your choice. Second winner, Doc Shoulder.
Congrats, Doc.
Congrats. Yep, Reaper or CSL. Doc on to claim that? Okay, no problem there, Sarge. You got the Carlos one. I'll send that to you. And is Doc on still? Is Doc on? Yes, he is.
Doc.
All right, Doc, I will send you, Doc, you're on, I saw you. Doc will get the Reaper one. We're going to raid into Troller Games, okay? Raid into Troller Games, they got a tabletop going on right now. We'll raid into them and say hello to one of my sponsors. Yep, you got it. No, Jock, Soros took that one, you get the Reaper one, okay, man? So, you got it. You got the Reaper one. Alrighty, I'm gonna get a good night's sleep. Mike Disney kicks us off tomorrow morning. Have fun with this, and we'll see you all. See you all tomorrow. Once again, thank you, Anna. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Gary. And
thank you, everyone.
Here comes right button. Hang in and raid. Let's monster raid into Trollord. Okay, right button. Yes, you do know where I live. All right, setting up the raid. Trollord. Let's see if we can get this over 75. That would be awesome. 70, 71. Oh, that's good enough. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow. A lot. And that's an understatement.
Yeah.
So I had Gary Con taken off for work back when it was physical Gary Con, and for whatever reason, when it got canceled, then I took
Damn, you shouldn't have done that.
I don't know. I think I was just
Thinking
ready